also with the ability to track this cell. So there's the tornado vortex signature. Move it out at the speed of the Doppler unit here at around 38 miles per hour. Martinsburg in 9 minutes, Buffalo Lake in 18 minutes. So there's plenty going on, and that's just off to the west of the metro. In terms of tornado warnings, nothing in the greater metro yet, but we're knocking on the door here. McLeod, Renville, Sibley until 7:45, Nicollet and Sibley until 7:30. Lightning tracker pinging away. As I mentioned, it is time to get off the field, especially greater metro with so many kids. And you know, the biggest part is my daughter plays soccer. She's lost so many games and so many practices because the weather has been so sour. Now we finally get some decent weather, some warmer weather, and it is all about very strong storms tonight. Jennifer, you ready on weather too?
Yes.
Okay,
oh, yeah.
Let's go back over to weather too. And for folks at home, we're really talking about the different computers we use back here. And you know, our team of producers and directors, they're top notch being able to switch this on the fly. Jennifer is looking inside the storm. This is not radar that you look at on your phone. This is Doppler velocity. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Right. So when we look at these storms within the atmosphere, we're trying to dissect them. And so with this feature, we can look at velocity and look at the different winds and the speed and direction within the atmosphere. And that helps us locate the areas of rotation within these storms. And right where that red and that green meets, near Bird Island along 212 near Hector, as Ian was just pointing out, that little area of rotation near Hector, that's where we have that potential for a tornado to be within the atmosphere. And then as we continue to take a look further down towards the south, here we go, you can see where we have that bright green that is moving across areas near Lafayette down through Stewart. This is where we have the potential for some very strong straight line winds. And I'm kind of outlining it to give you a better idea of it.
No, and this is good. So what you're looking at here is wind flow. So this is wind coming toward the Doppler radar unit, which is in the southwest metro. So that gives you an idea. These are very strong winds, and there's the boundary just coming up to Stewart. And these winds could easily be 60 to 70 miles per hour from Hector and Stewart along 212 all the way south toward Lafayette, working into Gaylord, and now we're talking about Sibley County, truly central Sibley County. So as you look, here's Meeker and McLeod, and here's the little notch that goes into Sibley County, working into areas like Gaylord. So we're getting closer and closer to the metro. And let's see that little white line? That's some very high Doppler indications of suspended liquid, what we call vertically integrated liquid. Also a really good idea where Jennifer just outlined here. See that straight line? That's where those straight line damaging winds will be, 60 to 70 miles per hour, right through the center of Sibley County, working into parts of Blue Earth County, and then back up toward just entering this little corner here of McLeod County. Really important that if you're in this area, there's strong thunderstorms or tornado warned thunderstorms, we would love for you to put your personal storm plan into effect. Sibley County, McLeod County, this is on you right now. Blue Earth County, it is on you right now. Personal storm plan, stay away from windows, lowest indoor building, tornado warned storms, but also storms capable of producing straight line winds at 60 to 70 miles per hour. I want to come off weather two for everyone in the back, bring it back to Weather One computer so I can give you a better idea. I want to take everything off because I know when you look at this, it looks rather confusing. There's a lot going on. Stay with me. There it is. There's the cluster of tornado warned counties right now. So you're really looking at areas here. So McLeod County, Sibley County, all the way down to Nicollet County, back over toward Redwood and Renville counties. Everything here continuing to move off to the east, tracking here off to the east at around 30 to 35 miles per hour. All of those tornado warned storms. When we end up with a storm system like this, and this is way inside baseball, we call it a QLCS, a quasi-linear convective system. What you end up with is tornado warnings because there's an awful lot of volatility here in these storms, a lot of spin. When we see that spin on Doppler radar, we issue what are called radar indicated tornado warnings. And that's what some of these are. But Jennifer, do you have a list of our touchdowns so far?
So far, just that one that was at 6:58 p.m. for McLeod, Renville, and Sibley, and that was a confirmed tornado at 6:58 p.m. located near Buffalo Lake, or 19 miles southwest of Hutchinson, and that was moving northeast at about 50 miles an hour. And we also had another observed tornado.
New severe thunderstorm warning just popped up. 2 new severe thunderstorm warnings just popped up. So these storms are moving off to the northeast at around 40 miles per hour. The strongest portion of those storms coming out of McLeod County into Glencoe in 5 minutes, Lake Crystal in 2 minutes. And as you just saw, the 2 new severe thunderstorm warnings flashing here. So Carver and Scott County stretching all the way down from Sibley County into Blue Earth and now including the city of Mankato. So we've gone from tornado warnings because of the spin in these storms now to severe thunderstorm warnings, and a picture here of the greater metro. We're not there yet, but we're knocking on the doorstep. I'm going to give things back to Jennifer. Let's switch things over to Weather 2. And Jennifer, if you could pinpoint where we've had tornado touchdowns so far.
Right, so we had that one that was just to the south and west of Hutchinson. That's where we had one near Buffalo Lake, and this was at about 6:58 p.m. We also had another tornado that was observed, and I believe this one was just to the north of New Ulm, and that was one that we were watching earlier with the very, very strong straight line wind gust. And as you were kind of mentioning with the QLCS, what happens is we get these extremely aggressive looking storms and with these very strong straight line winds, and sometimes they can have little spin ups within them. And that's kind of what was happening with the one near Hutchinson as well as the one near New Ulm from earlier, just a few minutes ago, really. But that does tell us that the atmosphere has enough energy to produce tornadoes. These were observed tornadoes, so we know that the atmosphere is capable of producing tornadoes. We've also had wind reports, thunderstorm wind reports of 76 miles an hour in Cottonwood, Nobles 60 mile an hour wind gusts, and Worthington a thunderstorm wind gust of 63 miles an hour. So we know what these storms can do, and that's why we're being so cautious about this, and that's why we want everyone ahead of these storms to seek shelter, and if they're outside, to absolutely get inside, find that sturdy structure, be ahead of these storms. Don't try and keep up with them.
Yeah, no, these storms are moving too fast, and they're so all-encompassing. Look, from the greater West Metro all the way back to Montevideo, all along the Minnesota River Valley, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tornado warnings in place, outlined in black right now. Okay, from Weather 2, bring me back to Weather 1 so we can start doing some hand tracking on these storms. There you have it, the tornado watch. There's the greater Twin Cities Metro. We've got the thunderstorms knocking on the door, so Lake Minnetonka all the way through Carver, Scott counties, up into portions of Wright County. You're in the storm zone now. If you are in the Twin Cities Metro and you know of folks who are outside, there's lightning tracker. We generally talk about lightning being within 30 miles of any location to suspend all outdoor activities. We are already there. And if you are in any of the zones here just to the west, these are inordinately heavy rains. We could easily see 1 to 2 inch rainfalls and some very large hail. We have had reports of some very large hail. There's McLeod County in the tornado warning, and Renville, Sibley there as well. Nicollet and Sibley warning in the tornado warning from 7:30 into 7:45. So as we take you out here, I'm going to move out one little bit, and Tim and BC, I know you're sitting over there watching us and keeping track. I can see Tim's using the Fox 9 weather app, I think, on his phone right now. He's awesome, man. It's great. So there you look at it. Notice we've had a tornado warning been allowed to fall off, but we're still dealing with the tornado warnings here in McLeod, Renville, and Sibley counties. So I'm going to back up here, and I'm going to tell folks on Fox 9 Plus, we're about to join viewers on Fox 9. We've got an awful lot going on, 2 television channels, plenty of weather news. So really what you're looking at here is this cluster of very strong storms just to the west. Reports so far of wind gusts at 60 to 70 miles per hour. Very large hail. So far, at least 1 reported tornado touchdown. Are we on the Fox 9 now, Keith? Okay, count me in. Yeah, beauty. They're counting me in my ear, folks. Hi, everyone. I'm Fox 9 Chief Meteorologist Ian Leonard. We're live on Fox 9 Plus, but also live with you here during a commercial break of The Masked Singer to bring you up to date and keep you able to watch the program that you've tuned into tonight. Tornado Watch until midnight includes the Twin Cities Metro, but areas here just off to the west, McLeod County, Sibley County, and Nicollet County, all in tornado warnings. That's the black outline you see right here. Some very, very strong storms. Lightning tracker, if you know people who are outside right now, maybe there's some outdoor sports. Lightning tracker all the way into the West Metro. Time to suspend your outdoor activities as the strong storms, the tornadic storms, advance toward the Metro. I'll take away lightning tracker and give you an idea of standing away. Everywhere that is in red and black shaded right there as I zoom out, those, my friends, are the current tornado warnings. McLeod, Renville, and Sibley County, close enough to the Metro as these storms continue to track here off to the east at around 30 to 35 miles per hour. The report so far of 3 reported tornado touchdowns. I believe we have 1 confirmed. Tornado warning still down well to the south too for Martin and Watawan. And of course, the yellow shaded counties are new severe thunderstorm warnings that work into parts of Carver and Scott counties, almost into Hennepin County. But you'll notice there's a bit of a gap here to the north. These storms are tracking off to the northeast, and we'll get there soon enough. With me in the Weather Center is Fox 9 meteorologist Jennifer McDermed. Jennifer, quick recap for our folks here on Fox 9 about what we've seen thus far.
So far, we've seen the large hail as well as thunderstorm wind gust up to 76 miles an hour within these storms. So we're looking at very strong straight line wind gust as well as observed tornadoes. We had a report of an observed tornado at 6:58 p.m. near Buffalo Lake and just to the south of Hutchinson. And we also had a report of a tornado at 6:54 p.m. north of New Ulm. So we know that these storms are capable of producing tornadoes. We know that these storms are capable of producing damaging winds of up to 76 miles an hour. There's been reports of power poles down, power lines down, damages to sheds and that sort of thing. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on these storms, Ian, just because they have a history of being destructive.
All right, we're going to take a break from Fox 9. We're going to go back to Fox 9 Plus, send you back to The Masked Singer, keep you in the programming, but as things change, stay sky aware tonight, folks. It is about to get very dangerous in the greater Twin Cities Metro. We're back to Fox 9 Plus. Fox 9, you're back to The Masked Singer. So on Fox 9 Plus, I want to track these storms here that are well off to the west. You'll see they've got the little gold boxes on them. Those gold boxes give us an idea there's a degree of rotation. We call those a mesosignature. So Hutchinson in 25 minutes, Stewart in the next 4 minutes. On this northern branch, I was tracking the entire line because we have these little storm markers that pop up from the Doppler unit. We move the storms forward at around 30 to 40 miles per hour has been the forward speed so far. I'm just going to put that on the map and then clear everything off because we get so much on the map. There's the Metro. Lake Minnetonka, Carver, and Scott counties, off toward McLeod County, down toward Sibley County, and then the Minnesota River Valley bends all the way back up. This will give you a better idea of what we're talking about. Here's the Minnesota River down toward Mankato. Here's 169 all the way back up toward the Metro. There's 94, and as I'm live on the air right now, another severe thunderstorm warning has just popped into parts of Wright County and Meeker County, all the way up into parts of Stearns County, yeah. So there are parts of the northern branch of this storm that are really starting to catch on. Tim and BC, I want to be able to bring you both in as well. And Tim, you and I have done this for some, I don't know,
quite a few years
for
now.
way too long, my friend. What are you noticing?
Well, I see a lot of straight line winds out there in coming through, and one of the things that may work to our advantage here a little bit, and I'm thinking if there's any blessing to this late spring that we've had so far, is very few, if any, of our trees are fully leafed out.
Great point.
So a lot of these straight line winds are going to blow through our trees and not against them like they would if they were leafed out, because then they would just become sails.
Then they are sails. No, it's a really, really good point. Straight line winds at 76 miles per hour are still going to take down plenty, but no, you're right, Tim. No, everyone talks about ETA. When are the storms coming through the metro? This is Futurecast. I'm going to reset this and watch as it starts 7:30 and rolls through the metro. So we're really talking about 8 p.m. through 10 p.m. Sunset just after 8:30. Nocturnal based strong storms. As Jennifer was pointing out, straight line winds possible at 70 plus miles per hour. Already confirmed by an actual reading on the ground. 3 reported tornado touchdowns so far. And at this point, our cluster of tornadic storms has really started to draw in toward itself. It's very encapsulated right there, outlined in black. Those are our current tornado warnings. And when I step back and give you an idea, look, parts of Nicollet County are pretty much done. This is fully... So I'm going to outline a county for you. So you can see this, I always call it the Castle County. I have ever since the first day I got here. That is Sibley County. There's Sibley County. There's McLeod County, that little notch that comes in. I'll slide things a little further here to the south so you get an idea. There's McLeod and Sibley County. Oop, don't let your shoes grab the floor there, Ian. With the latest severe thunderstorm warning into parts of Carver and Scott County, straddling 169 in the Minnesota River Valley, now into my friends in Waconia, and working here closer and closer to the greater Twin Cities metro. If these tornado warnings slacken, I mean, these are all Doppler indicated tornado warnings. If they are allowed to slacken and we don't have to deal with them coming through the metro, these are going to be some big, booming thunderstorms with some very strong winds and some very large hail. And I'll tell you, Jennifer, is it me or have the hail reports dropped off?
The hail reports, we haven't heard too many hail reports, but yeah, just a lot of wind reports, possible destruction to sheds, like I mentioned, and power lines as well. There's been some photos of those floating around on social media. And then, I mean, I've seen more observations of tornadoes than hail reports, really. But that doesn't mean that there's no hail. I mean, there's certainly hail within these storms, but we're also looking at the other threats within these storms. And that
I know you just got a quick bulletin there.
Tornadoes.
Here, now in the West Metro, see, we've got the gold box, that little idea that there's enough rotation in the storm that the Doppler locks onto it. So I tracked it here. Going in Chaska in 9 minutes, into Minnetonka in the next 23 minutes. So the storms are very close here to entering what I would call Metro proper, or for the old timers, the loop of 494, 694. We're about 30 minutes away from the storms rolling right across the Metro with some very heavy rain, some very strong winds. But I think it needs to be said, although we talk about tornado warnings that are off to the southwest and the west, we don't have anything happening right now in the greater metro. Futurecast shows where everything should be headed over the next 90 minutes to 120 minutes. And something that is really interesting here, that on the map, when you begin to look, see these little spins and it says early? That's something we call a tornado vortex signature that is rolling early. I see Jennifer's got something. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, if we could hop on to weather too real quick. I just want to show you the velocity that's currently down in the Blue Earth, Le Sueur, and Nicollet severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah.
Right now, we're looking at the potential for 70 to 80 mile an hour wind gust. Areas approaching Mankato, moving through Lake Crystal, moving through Nicollet, moving towards Garden City, moving towards Eagle Lake. So even though it's not a tornado warning, you need to take this severe thunderstorm warning very seriously, because these winds may be up to 70 to 80 miles an hour. Sometimes those storms can create more damage than tornadoes.
Right. So what we've got here is this scope, and we're actually looking into the storm. You're not looking at rainfall. You're looking at what we call Doppler velocity, where Doppler locks onto hydrometeors, rain, hail, any particles in the atmosphere. And this green color says this is racing forward. There, Jennifer's outlining it. That is the forward extent of this racing wind field at 60 plus miles per hour. Straight line winds about to come here from 169 all the way down to Mankato and beyond, down into areas like Mapleton. That's the leading edge. So Mankato, you're under the weather gun, straight line winds possible 60+ miles per hour. All up and down here from Le Sueur and Jordan up to Belle Plaine and then all the way down to Mapleton. This is an area of concern, not tornado warning, but notice severe thunderstorm warnings in that area. And you almost get the idea here where you look at where the rain is moving into Mankato. That's exactly where we have that bright green area on Doppler velocity from those strong winds pushing down to the surface and working toward areas like Mankato, like St. Peter, like Le Sueur, and eventually like Jordan. Right, Tim?
This might be a good moment here, Ian, to remind a lot of our viewers, especially as this storm gets closer to the Twin Cities metro, about their personal safety plans and where to take shelter inside of your home, because so many of our homes and housing now here in the Twin Cities metro don't have basements. And for those of you living in townhomes, and there are a lot of you out there, Ian, walk us through what they should be thinking about and what kind of shelter should they be taking.
Here's what we talk about. We talk about getting out of any rooms with a window, the most interior room of the house. For a lot of folks, that may be a bathroom. It may be an interior hallway. What I tell people is if you stay low, hopefully you can stay safe. It is getting as low as possible. If you're in an apartment building or multi-level condos, get to the interior hallway, but the interior hallway of the lowest floor, best place to be. When you talk about winds at 60, 70, and 80 miles per hour, tornado warnings, straight line winds, this is not a time where we want you to get your cell phone and go out and take some pictures or show the swirling clouds over 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks away. We've got plenty of folks to get out there and do that. So innermost room of your house, stay low to stay safe, get away from windows, and if possible, if you don't know what's going to happen if you do that, grab the remote. Crank up the volume on the remote. Listen to my voice, Jennifer's voice, Tim and BC's voice. We're going to walk you through it. We're going to keep you safe through this entire line of storms. So if you can't see the TV, at least you can hear it. Crank it up, and we're going to walk you through. We'll do our best to keep you and your family ahead of the storm. Now, as I say that, a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. And when I look here, Jennifer, it is areas south of the metro from the tornado warnings in Sibley County all the way up here to I-35, including parts of the southwest metro, right?
Yes, it is. The new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Le Sueur, Rice, and Scott until 8:30 p.m. And this is with the main concern of a possible rotation within the storm. No observation of a tornado, but possible. And also considerable damage is potential with 70-mile-an-hour wind gust.
Does it give you a locator?
In Le Sueur, Rice, and Scott.
Okay, but a locator for the strongest winds?
No, I can look it up right now.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. So here's Highway 169 all along the Minnesota River Valley. Everywhere here from McLeod into Nicollet counties, still in tornado warnings until 7:45. Now the storms are moving across 169 in the Minnesota River Valley. They've advanced the warnings here to I-35. That is the latest severe thunderstorm warning. So imagine you're moving a very strong storm further to the east. That doesn't mean it's no longer tornadic. It has the ability to become tornadic, but at this point, it is straight line winds at 60+ miles per hour and some very large hail. New severe thunderstorm warning issued down toward Mankato now. And you can see the computer thinking for Blue Earth, Le Sueur, and Nicollet. And there's McLeod and only now the eastern portion of Sibley County in the tornado warning until 6:45. Let me expand the view. So really, McLeod County, almost the entire county, and the eastern portion of Sibley County in the tornado warning now until 7:45. The metro, the wait is over. The storms are knocking on the doorstep, and they will continue. And the one thing I keep noticing, Jennifer, and I know you do sitting in the Weather Center, is most of these storms, although they're advancing generally to the east, most of the storm tracks are turning now to the east-northeast. So are we starting to move away from the warm front is my question, because the further we get away from the warm front, the harder it is for these storms to really find the fuel, to find the pizzazz to keep fueling themselves.
Right. Well, I think these storms are they're congealing. They're becoming more linear based. And as we head further into tonight, these storms are going to be more of a concern in terms of damaging winds and strong wind gusts. So as these progress over towards the east, yeah, it looks like some damaging winds are certainly going to be the case within the Twin Cities metro, and certainly for areas to the south of the Twin Cities along areas of 35. There's been reports of up to 60, up to 76 miles an hour of wind gust. So very, very destructive thunderstorms that are knocking on the Twin Cities metro right now.
I want to go over quickly to Tim in BC.
I have to ask, Ian, with the downpours, are you seeing any flash flooding just yet?
You're going to have to hit me one more time. I had somebody in my ear.
Any of the flash flooding with these downpours?
And it's a great question because I talked about that earlier. So inordinate amounts of rain, where we find these thunderstorms, and here's a perfect example for you, BC. See, everywhere we're looking here, it's deep red, really deep burnt umber red, and then orange, and then yellow. And then you notice this one little spot right there that's white and violet. Those are rainfall rates over 1.5 inches an hour. So that's where we would find the kind of rain that you're seeing everything come out of the gutters. You're seeing everything move. Go ahead, Jennifer.
New tornado warning, and this is for Carver and Scott.
Yep, I see
until
it right there.
8:15 p.m. It is moving to the northeast at about 50 miles an hour.
All right, so would you do me a favor, everybody in the control room? Would you let them know? Right now we're live on Fox 9 Plus with Tim and BC and Jennifer. Would you, I'd like the control room to let other folks know that I'd like to migrate, stay on Fox 9 Plus, but I also want to move. I want to migrate our coverage over to Fox 9, and I realize that Fox 9 has the Masked Singer and there's a lot going on, but this starts to take precedence once we start getting into tornado warnings close to the Twin Cities metro. So, okay, so finally, we're back on Fox 9 now. Hi, everyone. Fox 9 Chief Meteorologist Ian Leonard, along with meteorologist Jennifer McDermed, Tim Blotz, and BC O'Neilly on the anchor desk. We've been tracking the storms during commercial breaks here on Fox 9. I know Masked Singer's on, and it's important. You want to watch it. You got to bear with me, though, because there's an awful lot going on. With a tornado watch here that includes the Twin Cities metro and the two black outlined counties you see just off to the west-southwest, those are the latest tornado warnings. Convectively, these are big, booming convective thunderstorms. We have had reports of 3 tornado touchdowns so far off to the west in parts of Renville, McLeod, and Sibley counties. And now those storms are coming right to the doorstep of the Twin Cities. So if you are here off to the south, off to the southwest of the Twin Cities, I'd love for you to put your personal storm plan into effect, because everywhere you see there with a red background and a black and white flashing border, those are the latest tornado warnings. McLeod and Sibley until 7:45, the newest that brought us from Fox 9 Plus over to Fox 9 to take away the Masked Singer for now. It is for Carver and Scott counties until 8:15. So we're basically into parts of the greater metro. Winds in excess of 76 miles per hour have already been measured. Not just sort of, I think those are strong winds, but already been measured. So if you're in this area, I want you to put your personal storm plan into effect, especially the latest here, the tornado warning for Carver and Scott counties. McLeod and Sibley, that's all of McLeod County. And this right here is the eastern half of Sibley County. Tornado warnings flashing in black and white with the red shaded backgrounds. If you are in any of those areas, I would love for you to put your personal storm plan into effect, as this cluster of storms right here is going to move across the South Metro. Areas of the Metro, look, downtown Minneapolis, so you're saying to yourself, oh, we've got some rain, there might be a little thunder, but I don't see what the fuss is. I want to track some of these storms to give you a better idea of where they're all headed. And I'm going to track them en masse instead of tracking them as one single cell, because there's 2 areas here of concern. The first one here goes from Glencoe and Sibley County, and it's moving forward at around 40 miles per hour. These are the next targets, if you will, areas of concern, areas that are under the weather gun. Norwood Young America in 6 minutes, Belle Plaine in 11 minutes, Tyrone into a minute. I want to track the latest cells that are here into parts of Carver and Scott County, moving off to the northeast at around 44 miles per hour. Blakely in 2 minutes, Norwood, Young America in the next 5 minutes. I can't emphasize this enough. If you are in these areas just off to the south and southwest of the metro, you need to put your personal storm plan into effect. Thunder, lightning, straight line winds in excess of 76 miles per hour, and the latest tornado warning. These are going to be rain-wrapped storms. In other words, if there is spin in these storms, if there are tornadoes, these will be very heavy rains in excess of 1 inch an hour, and probably some locally higher amounts. I have meteorologist Jennifer McDermed with me in the Weather Center as well. What Jennifer's been doing the better part of the night is taking what we call our Doppler Velocity scope and looking through these storms and finding and passing along the information of where those straight line winds are. So Jennifer, let's get to you, and for folks in the control room, let's switch on over to Weather 2.
Okay, so one of the new tornado warning that is currently over areas of Carver and Scott County. I want to take a closer look into this storm. So areas along 169 near Belle Plaine, this is where you need to be in shelter right now.
Absolutely.
This isn't a get to shelter. It's you need to be in shelter right now. This is a radar indicated tornado. So that means the rotation has been spotted within the atmosphere, within the radar. So it has not been observed yet, but if it is happening, you will need to be in your shelter in Belle Plaine and areas in New Prague, up towards Sand Creek, up towards areas near Prior Lake. This is where you have to be seeking that lower layer, that lower location in the building that you're in, the lowest level.
Yep.
As well as areas without any windows, because these straight line winds have also produced a history of taking trees down, power lines down, and the winds in Buffalo Lake, we just had this report come in, a destroyed barn as well as grain bin.
Okay.
So very destructive storms right now, Ian.
So these are very heavy rains right here. Vertically integrated liquid as a part of this tornado warning in parts of, say, eastern Sibley County. That's the line that Jennifer was just talking about. So see this bright green all along. Hey, Jennifer, can you do me a favor? Take off auto warn query. Thank you. No. Take off auto warn query. As this line right here, that gives us an idea of how strong the winds are moving here to the east in that storm. There's Highway 169, and there's the Minnesota River Valley. Jennifer is outlining where the strongest winds would be right now. So not only are we talking about a tornado warning and a tornado warned storm, we're also talking about the possibility of straight line winds that so far tonight have already been measured at 76 miles per hour. You heard Jennifer just mention there's a barn down, and people in the city would go, oh, it's damage, and it's strong straight line wind damage, and it should make you sit up and go, I need to pay attention. We're talking about winds at 76 miles per hour, which would put this at around EF0, almost into EF1 tornado type wind capabilities. And Jennifer's continuing to move. There's Gaylord. This is parts of Sibley County into Blue Earth County and Mankato. See, there's the bright green. So all of these strong winds are advancing here off to the east. The forward motion of these storms between 30 and 35 miles per hour. So they're not moving fast, but they are creating damaging winds. Okay, so Jennifer, you stay on that. I'm going to go back to Weather 1 for folks in the control room. By the way, best in the business. Here we go. Move you back to Storm Vision, because where Jennifer just was right now, that's where I'm going to slide you down. So when you talk about these new tornado warnings, Jennifer, we just popped the new severe thunderstorm warning too. So, wow, there's an awful lot going on. I'm going to advance this forward so we can get away. This is where the storms are headed here in the next 3 hours. But in terms of watching where things are, 1, 2, 3 outlying counties in black, those are all tornado warnings. Watch as I take away all of the radar reflectivity, so we can give you a better idea, because I know it gets really hard to see everything. So there is a new tornado warning here just off to the south, and this is that's a new tornado warning for LeSueur and Rice counties until 8:15, and it is just to the south of the latest tornado warning here for Carver and Scott counties until 8:15, and the latest severe thunderstorm warning. I can honestly tell you, I've never, Tim, you ever seen a shape of a warning like that?
No, that's a new one on me. Kind of looks like they might be following the river there. Is it kind of following? I don't know.
Hey,
That's a good one.
Hold on, everyone. I want to give everyone a live look. We have our storm trackers down in Jordan. Here's a live look as we go there. As we're looking live from Jordan along the Minnesota River Valley, we'll go live over to Jennifer.
Also, real quick, I want to mention that I believe the loons are in town right now, and Allianz has taken shelter. Allianz Field,
Right.
the stadium,
Yep.
has taken shelter.
Good news.
Yeah, which is great news that they're taking shelter, but this just goes to show that these are very intense storms, very strong, destructive. They have a history of being destructive. So if you are outside, if you know anyone that's outside, maybe at the lake or at a soccer practice or maybe an outdoor concert, who knows? Give them a call. Let them know, hey, there's strong to severe thunderstorms and even tornado warnings moving into the Twin Cities metro right now. So yeah.
I'll be right with you.
Okay, yeah, so there has been that one report of Allianz Field is taking shelter right now, but we are continuing to track the severe thunderstorm warning that is moving through the metro, as well as that tornado warning that is moving through areas of Carver. If we go ahead and take a closer look, we're still live out there. This is from Jordan. Okay, now we're back on, Ian.
Now we're back, yeah. We're back because there's a new tornado warning. You see this, Jennifer? There's a new tornado warning that is now pushing into western portions of the metro, including Hennepin County. And Tim, when I said that severe thunderstorm warning looked a little weird, it's because they backed it off to push in this latest tornado warning. So the latest tornado warning is now into portions of the greater metro, including western Hennepin County, Carver, Scott County, and then down south toward Rice and Steele County. That gives us 4 tornado warnings in place and current right now. So,
And this is radar indicated.
yeah, these are all Doppler indicated tornado warnings. We have reports of 3 tornadoes touching down earlier tonight. We have reports of wind gusts at 76 miles per hour. A little earlier, straight line winds with some of these cells. So let's talk specifically here about the greater Twin Cities metro. There is the latest tornado warning. I'm going to outline it for you because it gets a little muddy. It comes here toward Delano and then over toward just south of St. Michael, back down, and you'll hear that. That's people's phones going off now. So those are, I don't know if you can hear that in the background. Those are your phones going off for an active tornado warning in the greater Twin Cities metro, outlining it for you right here. It includes areas like Waconia. It includes most of western and northwestern Hennepin County. There's an awful lot to get to on this overall map. Where's it all headed? This is a great question. Watch as it flies right through. And if you keep an eye on the clock here, we should be done with this all about 11 o'clock. And when I say this, we're talking about the possibility of straight line winds in terms of a track for this entire motion. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. Look, if you are in the West Metro, if you're in Hennepin County, if you're in Carver County, Scott County, LeSueur County, Rice County, and Sibley County, if you are in any of those counties, I would like you to listen to my voice and put your personal storm plan into effect. I'd like you to get away from windows. We're talking about winds in excess of 70 miles per hour. We're talking about tornado warnings into the innermost room in your house. If you can't see the TV from there, I'd like you to turn up the TV. Jennifer and I are going to do our best to keep you ahead of these storms, but it starts with your own personal storm plan. If you're in apartment buildings or condos and you can get to an interior hallway, and the lowest interior hallway, that's where I'd like you to be as these storms advance on the greater Twin Cities metro. Right now, we're putting over 4 million people in harm's way with these strong storms and giving you a live shot along the Minnesota River Valley in Jordan, which right now is in a tornado warning. Biggest problem right now is our sunset doesn't happen till after 8:30. Well, you look live at the shot on the screen here in Jordan. It looks like it's midnight. These are very dark clouds, ominous clouds, and very, very strong storms that you see lighting up the skies here in parts of Jordan. Yeah, I'm going to go over to BC O'Neill.
When you see the intensity of that lightning, what is the potential for lightning strikes?
It's uber high right now. So uber high, trying to be a cool kid. Really what we talk about are, there's 2 types of severe thunderstorms. There's severe thunderstorms that are rooted at the surface. In other words, they're hugging the ground. So you get a lot of cloud to ground lightning. And then there are severe thunderstorms that we call elevated, and they rise when they lose the real intense heat of the day. And that's where we get those vivid lightning shows late at night, and those are cloud to cloud lightning strikes. Right now, and it's a great question, BC, right now we're in a cloud to ground lightning strike type of storm. So it's not the storm we want you to be outside, which is what I've been saying. So there you see. Now, if you look, here's something storm spotters use late at night. If you look at the clouds that we have down in Jordan, and you look, you'll see there's some little pullaways. It's over here. But if you look over there, you'll see that when the lightning flashes in the background, that's what we call a backlit storm. And you'll see there's some little pullaways. That's the only way a trained storm spotter can truly see a tornado. And every time we see that, you'll see those little clouds, those little wispy clouds that are hanging off. They hang off, they pull away, and they suck back in. We call those scud clouds. It's a pretty good idea. It gives you a pretty good idea of the amount of rotation or the amount of real intensity in terms of the visible updraft in those storm cells. So, you know, we have a crew. We have a crew down in our storm chase vehicle. I assure you, they are in a safe position, but I would not like to see anybody else outside who is not a professional trying to track these storms. Those are some great shots from Jordan. I don't want to be remiss here and forget what's going on. We have the tremendous video from Jordan, but the tornado warnings that are going on right now, I'm going to just skip 2 seconds. And Jennifer McDermed is sitting here looking through these storms. And Jennifer, what do you got?
Yeah, right now, if we can go over to Weather 2 really quick, that would be fantastic. This tornado warning that is currently in Hennepin as well as Carver County, we're taking a look at the velocity scope. And what this tells us is we're dissecting this tornado warned storm. This is radar indicated, no tornado has been observed, but these velocities tell us the speed of the winds and the direction of the winds within these storms. And that helps us determine where the rotation is. So areas in Waconia over towards Norwood, Young America, this is where we have the best potential for that spin up in this tornado warning. And this is moving towards the north and east at about 50 plus miles an hour. So areas in Chaska, Shakopee, Eden Prairie, Hopkins, Mound, you need to be seeking shelter right now. This is when you need to be putting your shelter plan into place, because this tornado warning is moving towards the north and east into the Twin Cities metro. With that being said, everyone within the metro in Hennepin as well as Ramsey County need to be seeking shelter at this moment, because this line of strong to severe thunderstorms that are capable of producing tornadoes is moving across the entire metro. Everyone will be having some type of thunderstorm move through at some point tonight. So right now I'm taking another look.
Yeah, you see these little notches that you're pointing out right here.
Right. So within these storms, we have these straight line winds, and sometimes embedded within them, we have these little notches.
Little spin-ups.
And these little notches allow us to see potential rotation within these storms and where there may be tornado development. So right now we're really keeping a close eye on areas to the north and to the south of Waconia, moving towards the north and east, Shakopee, Chaska, Eden Prairie, Orono, Minnetonka, for example. You need to be seeking your safe place right now.
So here's 394. And what Jennifer, and I know you don't see this often, so let me explain what Jennifer's looking at right here. See this large scope? This is called a Doppler Velocity scope. So we're not looking at where the rain is, we're looking at where the wind is, influenced by the rain, and the Doppler is able to read that. This long green line, those are very strong winds advancing out of the west to the east, winds producing straight line wind damage at 70 to 80 miles per hour. So you get an idea here. Coming into Waconia, coming along 212 into Shakopee, as Jennifer mentioned. So look, if you haven't done so already, batten down the hatches, put your personal storm plan into effect. Can't emphasize this enough with the latest tornado warning for Carver and Scott counties. Folks in the control room, let's switch back over to Weather One. Jennifer, thank you. Awesome technological, meteorological information about these storms, all a part of the tornado watch, including the metro, until midnight tonight. There's the convective nature of these storms. Let me know in the control room where that shot's from. Okay, so we're back in Jordan. We've turned the camera. When Jennifer's talking, I mean, look at that. When Jennifer's talking about straight line winds, look at the wind. It's the rain's going sideways. Look at the flags in the background. And lightning strikes per minute. BC, you were talking about this. I guarantee you, if you were in the heart of that storm right now, you're thinking, oh my gosh. this is a very strong storm system that is collapsing through. I'm going to keep tracking these storms here because there you got it. 2, 3 tornado warnings. One here for Hennepin and Carver County until 8:15. The second for Carver and Scott County until 8:15. To give you an idea where these storms are headed, in the next half hour, I'm going to find the blue icons. Those are the hail icons, and I'm going to track them all collectively as one line moving forward at almost 40 miles per hour. Strongest portion of this storm in the tornado warnings that's advancing toward the metro, Waconia, in the next 4 minutes. Waconia, see the line right there that's happening in Jordan, that live video? That's coming to you. Belle Plaine, it's on you right now. That's what's happening for you right now. Greater Twin Cities Metro, what you see in the video, that Jordan storm with the sideways rain and the flags almost blowing down off the poles. That's the type of storms we're talking about coming through. This isn't about the storm that tips over your garbage can. This is about the storm that takes your patio furniture and the trampoline and puts them 3, 4, 5 houses down the street, as we talk winds possible at 70 to 80 miles per hour. And important to note, these are Doppler indicated tornado warnings. We don't have tornadoes on the ground. They're Doppler indicated tornado warnings, but they are stacked 1, 2, and 3. Carver and Hennepin County until 8:15. Carver and Scott County until 8:15. Le Sueur and Rice County until 8:30. 3 stacked tornado warnings. Now, I know that folks on Fox 9, and we're getting close to the end of the show, The Masked Singer, you wanted to watch a Masked Singer, and I get it. It's your TV and you want to watch your show. And you're going to get a little bit angry. And this is, I just think this is so much more important. It's not just me, it's our entire weather team. That when we got tornado warnings influencing over 3 million people, this is where we need to be. So this is where we're going to stay. And Jennifer, you've got a storm track on there for the Greater Twin Cities Metro from those 2 tornado warnings for Hennepin all the way down to Carver and Scott.
Well, the 3 tornado warnings, but yes, the ones that are moving into the Twin Cities Metro right now, these 3 tornadic storms that are all radar indicated are moving towards the northeast at about 50 to 55 miles an hour. Yeah, so areas in Bloomington in about 8 minutes is when you can be expecting this line of potential tornadic storms to be reaching you. Twin Cities, downtown Minneapolis in about 15 minutes, St. Paul 21, Stillwater 39 minutes, Red Wing 51 minutes. So everyone within this path from the metro pointing down towards the south, in between areas of White Bear Lake, all the way down through Edina, through Lakeville, through Northfield. This is where the track of those 3 tornadic storms are moving from the west up towards the northeast, anywhere from about 50 to 55 miles an hour.
Interesting to note here, if you come back to Weather One for folks, thanks Jennifer. Interesting to note as you come back, if you look here, there is I-35 straight south. There's the loop of 394 and 494 to give you some reference points here. Look, the storms haven't come across 35. The storms, the strongest portion of the storms haven't entered the Twin Cities Metro. And just for reference, the video you're looking at, live video from down 169, where we've got a crew stationed in Jordan. I assure you they are safe. They are professional. We put them out in the brand new Fox 9 Storm Chaser. Everything is fine with them, but you get the idea. This is a vicious storm. Reported wind gusts so far with straight line winds of 76 miles per hour. 3 reported tornado touchdowns. Can't verify that. Won't verify it until the light of day tomorrow. Those were much further west of the metro. But there you've got it. The flashing counties here in black and white. Tornado warnings for Carver and Hennepin County. Tornado warnings for Carver and Scott County. There's lightning tracker beginning to ping away. And I've noticed that we've got some new storm tracks here. So in the Doppler unit, identify storm tracks. See those little gold squares? That shows us where there's an amount of rotation in the atmosphere. So the northern branch of these storms into Annandale in the next minute, into Watertown in the next 5 minutes. I'm going to track the bottom line of this area of storms. Again, moving off to the northeast at, I believe Jennifer said 50 miles per hour, this latest area of southern storms. That goes into Waconia in the next minute, into Credit River in the next 24 minutes. I can't emphasize this enough. As much as we track the storms, as much as we show where the storms are going, if you don't put your personal storm plan into effect, it's really hard to make sure you're safe. That makes sure that you're away from windows. You're in an interior room without windows. You're in the lowest room of your house or condominium or apartment complex, because the storms will blow through very, very quickly. And sometimes we'll get emails saying, well, it wasn't that strong where we were. The forecast for these storms is not specific to a street or a cul-de-sac. What we're doing here is keeping you up to date as these storms move in on almost 3.5 million people. There's lightning tracker pinging away, and in the background you see the flashing counties for the tornado warnings for Carver and Hennepin County. I want to take you down here and start talking a little bit more about what's happening in the West Metro. So Burnsville, you've got the thunder and lightning. You got some blinding heavy rain here with this bright white coming through on radar. When we track the overall line and we push it forward, see all of these gold boxes, mesocyclone signatures. It tells us, I mean, it's like Doppler indicated tornado. It tells us where the spin is in the atmosphere. So I'm going to grab 4 of these. Jennifer was talking about these storms moving off to the northeast at 50 miles per hour. There's your track at 50 miles per hour. Waconia, strongest portion of the storm is on you right now. Minnetrista in the next 7 minutes. Maple Grove in the next 27 minutes. Again, tornado warnings for Carver and Hennepin County until 8:15. Carver and Scott County until 8:15. These are very strong storms. Okay, we're about to end on Fox 9 Plus. Tim and BC, I stole your show. I appreciate you having us along for the ride.
This is all about keeping everyone safe tonight.
Yeah, Jennifer and I will continue. We're going to continue not on Fox 9 Plus, but on Fox 9 as we roll through the next hour, of course, because we're dealing with tornadoes across the greater Twin Cities metro and tornado warning. So goodbye to folks on Fox 9 Plus. We're staying with you here on Fox 9. As we do that, Jennifer, I would New severe thunderstorm warning issued down toward Mankato now. And you can see the computer thinking for Blue Earth, Le Sueur, and Nicollet. And there's McLeod and only now the eastern portion of Sibley County in the tornado warning until 6:45. let me expand the view. So really, McLeod County, almost the entire county, and the eastern portion of Sibley County in the tornado warning now until 7:45. The metro, the wait is over. The storms are knocking on the doorstep, and they will continue. And the one thing I keep noticing, Jennifer, and I know you do sitting in the Weather Center, is most of these storms, although they're advancing generally to the east, most of the storm tracks are turning now to the east-northeast. So are we starting to move away from the warm front is my question, because the further we get away from the warm front, the harder it is for these storms to really find the fuel, to find the pizzazz to keep fueling themselves.
Right. Well, I think these storms they're congealing. They're becoming more linear based. And as we head further into tonight, these storms are going to be more of a concern in terms of damaging winds and strong wind gusts. So as these progress over towards the east, yeah, it looks like some damaging winds are certainly going to be the case within the Twin Cities metro, and certainly for areas to the south of the Twin Cities along areas of 35. There's been reports of up to 60, up to 76 miles an hour of wind gust. So very, very destructive thunderstorms that are knocking on the Twin Cities metro right now.
I want to go over quickly to Tim in BC.
I have to ask, Ian, with the downpours, are you seeing any flash flooding just yet?
You're going to have to hit me one more time. I had somebody in my
ear. Any of the flash flooding with these downpours?
And it's a great question because I talked about that earlier. So inordinate amounts of rain, where we find these thunderstorms, and here's a perfect example for you, BC. See, everywhere we're looking here, it's deep red, really deep burnt umber red, and then orange, and then yellow. And then you notice this one little spot right there that's white and violet. Those are rainfall rates over 1.5 inches an hour. So that's where we would find the kind of rain that you're seeing everything come out of the gutters. You're seeing everything move. Go ahead, Jennifer.
New tornado warning, and this is for Carver and Scott.
Yep, I see
until
it right there.
8:15 p.m. It is moving to the northeast at about 50 miles an hour.
All right, so would you do me a favor, everybody in the control room? Would you let them know? Right now we're live on Fox 9 Plus with Tim and BC and Jennifer. Would you, I'd like the control room to let other folks know that I'd like to migrate, stay on Fox 9 Plus, but I also want to move. I want to migrate our coverage over to Fox 9, and I realize that Fox 9 has the Masked Singer and there's a lot going on, but this starts to take precedence once we start getting into tornado warnings close to the Twin Cities metro. So, okay, so finally, we're back on Fox 9 now. Hi, everyone. Fox 9 Chief Meteorologist Ian Leonard, along with meteorologist Jennifer McDermed, Tim Blotz, and BC O'Neilly on the anchor desk. We've been tracking the storms during commercial breaks here on Fox 9. I know Masked Singer's on, and it's important. You want to watch it. You got to bear with me, though, because there's an awful lot going on. With a tornado watch here that includes the Twin Cities metro and the two black outline counties you see just off to the west-southwest, those are the latest tornado warnings. Convectively, these are big, booming convective thunderstorms. We have had reports of 3 tornado touchdowns so far off to the west in parts of Renville, McLeod, and Sibley counties. And now those storms are coming right to the doorstep of the Twin Cities. So if you are here off to the south, off to the southwest of the Twin Cities, I'd love for you to put your personal storm plan into effect, because everywhere you see there with a red background and a black and white flashing border, those are the latest tornado warnings. McLeod and Sibley until 7:45, the newest that brought us from Fox 9 Plus over to Fox 9 to take away the Masked Singer for now. It is for Carver and Scott counties until 8:15. So we're basically into parts. Red indicates a little bit of resistance moving back against those winds. When you get that resistance, it's kind of like looking at a back eddy in a river. When the river's flowing along the shore and it catches a little resistance and you get those little spins along the shoreline, that's exactly what these are depicting. A little spin as those very strong winds, as indicated here with Doppler velocity, as those very strong winds roll in, these are the spins that Jennifer is outlining on the map. Again, part of the tornado complex, part of the tornado warnings that stretch from Hennepin into Carver, Scott, LeSueur, and Rice counties, from here all the way south. Those are the tornado warnings, and that's where we've got the at least the chance of straight line winds. What was the latest one? 70 what?
79 mile an hour wind gust.
Okay, excellent information, Jennifer. Thank you. One of those ideas where we can look right inside the storm using Doppler velocity. And again, the video that's live. To my upper portion here of the screen is Shakopee. To the lower portion of the screen is Jordan. If you've been watching for the last 15 minutes, it looked like things were beyond bad in Jordan 15 minutes ago. Now, as you look down here in the bottom side of the screen, it's relatively calm. There's thunder and lightning, but the storm is basically passing. This is Shakopee. The storm is right on top of Shakopee right now. That lightning that was in the distance, it is here, it is booming. It is also a part of the tornado warning that is sitting here and flashing in black. That is all a part of the tornado warning advancing toward the metro, advancing toward areas like downtown Minneapolis, advancing to areas like Edina and Hopkins and Bloomington, over toward Chaska, over toward Prior Lake, and then down 169 toward Jordan and back toward Lakeville and Burnsville in the 35 split, advancing to all of these areas here in the next 30 minutes. And I'll be honest with you, when we look at these storms and we look at them advancing, we had advancement speeds of around 35 miles per hour earlier. We advanced these storms forward at around 55 miles per hour. They look like they have literally taken it and put it in park, downshifted into park. You can tell how old I am. That's like where you had the shifter on the steering wheel tree. Shifted down into park. All of these storms have almost come to a standstill as they bump into the metro. Here's the biggest problem. When you notice these bright white cores right here, see there's one near Waconia. There's another here just off to the northeast of Belle Plaine, working up 169 over toward Burnsville and Prior Lake. That is Doppler indicated rainfall rates of upwards of 1.5 inches per hour. Localized flooding, absolutely possible. We'll see some pockets here that will easily pick up 3+ inches of rain. Add to that the large hail. This is a very strong storm. I don't even know how to talk about a storm like this. Earlier I was talking about that we would bring all facets of severe weather to bear. Strong straight line winds, large hail, flooding rains, and the possibility of brief spin-up tornadoes. That has been the exact depiction of these storms through this evening. I'm going to pull out, yeah, go ahead, Jennifer.
Shakopee has reported a wind gust of 77 miles an hour.
Wow.
And I want to emphasize that right now, these storms that are moving into the metro, the strongest of the winds right now are moving towards areas like Medina, Orono, through Bloomington, down along 35 near Burnsville, Lakeville, Northfield, for example, down towards Faribault. This is where the strongest of the storms are beginning to move in along areas of 35 to the south of the metro, as well as through Hennepin County. You need to be seeking shelter at this point. With a wind gust report of 77 miles an hour in Shakopee, that tells us that these storms are very dangerous. They're destructive. You need to be seeking shelter right now. Yeah, personal storm plan into effect. Tornado warnings knocking on the West Metro doorstep. Severe thunderstorm warning for the entirety of Hennepin, for parts of Ramsey County, South St. Paul, paralleling 35 all the way to the south. I put a line on the map. That's the extent, the forward extent of the strongest portion of these storms. So really what we're looking at is downtown Minneapolis, down toward Bloomington into the airport, down toward Apple Valley, Burnsville, and then straight south along 35, back here toward areas like Prior Lake. In terms of where these storms are headed next, I'm going to track overall where we find the strongest portion of the storm. Jennifer, I got to tell you, I can't buy anything more than about forward speed of about 35 miles per hour right now, because it's simply that these storms have stopped. Chaska into a minute, Plymouth in the next 29 minutes, and I believe this is live video from outside the Fox 9 Broadcast Center. Am I right? I'm trying to make sure my earpiece is working. I recognize the trees. I think anyway, that is outside the broadcast center. By the way, bring you up to date. Randy Meyer and Kelsey Carlson have joined us on the anchor desk. It's one of those nights, Randy and Kelsey, that we track these storms, and no matter how much we track and we show people, inevitably there's going to be somebody that said, wow, that was a bit of a surprise. And you're like, what, huh?
We have so many ways to keep you informed now. My phone went off in the newsroom.
Your mic's not on. But your phone went off. Your phone squealed when that tornado warning came out.
For Carver County, because I
Oh, and it's going off again. So there's a new tornado warning. Nice timing, Kelsey. And you see it flashing right here. That is a brand new tornado warning for Dakota County until 9 p.m. You're looking live at a traffic camera there in parts of Shakopee, where you see the sideways rain and vivid thunder and lightning. We've had reports now in the greater metro of almost 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Personal storm plan, put it into effect. Get away from windows, get to an innermost room of your house, preferably without windows, preferably the lowest room of your home, your condo, your apartment complex, an interior hallway. They all work. We'll have blinding rain. You're not going to be able to see the sun. The sun hasn't even see the storm. Sun hasn't even set yet, but you look at the video, it looks like it's past midnight with how dark the skies are right now and the flooding rains that are rolling in. So there's the latest, a new tornado warning for Dakota County that is in place until 9 p.m. I'm going to clear what's on the map here so you get a better idea. We're going to move in one step closer to look at this latest tornado warning here that is out for Dakota County. And you see it is pretty much all of Dakota County. It's on the northern extent of the severe thunderstorm warning that went from Dakota County, sort of South St. Paul, stretching or paralleling I-35 all to the south. But if you look here, these storms, I'll draw a line. There's 35. There's 35. The storms haven't crossed 35 yet, but meteorologist Cody Matz is live on the phone with us from a safe position in Burnsville. So Cody, go. Tell me what you're seeing. He hung up. We had Cody. We'll get Cody back. It's live television. It's going to happen. Cody's coming back. Trust me, Anna. Right now he's dialing the phone. So again, there's 35 all the way to the south. Strongest portion of these storms advancing. Tornado warning for Carver and Scott. Tornado warning latest here for Dakota County. See it flashing all the way back to Belle Plaine. There's the outline of the latest tornado warning. I'm going to move the map so you get an idea, reference point. There's the greater metro. Here it is all the way there. I think we have Kelsey's mic now, don't we? Oh, that was Jennifer. I'm sorry. Okay, so Jennifer, what do you got going?
Right now, I'm just tracking the tornado warns that are moving through the metro right now, with the strongest of it beginning to find its way into areas near Burnsville, moving into Lakeville, moving into Webster, Dundas, Northfield, Castle Rock, all the way up through the Twin Cities Metro, Edina, knocking on your door right now, along with St. Louis Park, Golden Valley, areas in Plymouth, Crystal, Brooklyn Center. Just to give you an idea that you have about a minute to seek shelter at this point, because these winds are moving in.
I brought up Doppler scope over here, and this is what Jennifer was talking about, where we see these very strong straight line winds. See that color green? That tells us that that isn't rain. That tells us Doppler is locked onto all of the rain, and it's moving very quickly off to the east. But then we end up with these little red troughs and valleys here. That's wind shifting back toward the advancing wind. So anytime you do that, think about releasing two river currents at the same time and they come together. They can't go down, they've got to go up. We create rising air, we create some rather serious storms. So that's a pretty good look at the very strong winds about to roll or continue to roll into the metro. So playing going on. Go ahead, Jennifer, I see you. Go ahead.
If we can go over to weather 2 real quick.
Yep, we'll let people know the best control room in the business.
Yes.
We're going to switch computers. This is now Jennifer controlling what we call Doppler velocity, looking inside these storms. Go, Jennifer.
So now the strongest of the winds are beginning to find their way into the 494 loop.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Areas from Plymouth through St. Louis Park through Edina, along areas of 169, about to reach areas of 100 in between St. Louis Park and Edina, finding where these winds, where the red and the green are meeting. That is where we have the strongest winds, up to 60 to 70 miles an hour is how strong these winds are. Shakopee already reported a wind gust of 77 miles an hour. So I really want to stress for areas in Edina and areas extending from uptown, St. Louis Park, from Bede-Makaska, all the way down through Edina along 100, all the way down into the southern portions of the metro towards Savage and Burnsville. This is where the strongest of these winds are currently beginning to move in. Areas along this white shade that's riding right along 169, that is where we are finding the 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gust on radar moving into the 494 loop. So the heart of the metro is certainly going to be impacted right now, and it's all moving over towards the east, eventually impacting areas like Richfield, the MSP airport, as well as through areas like St. Anthony, Roseville. So those strong winds, it looks like they just moved through St. Louis Park, and they're moving through Richfield right now and moving towards Medona Heights as well as St. Paul. So this destructive storm, Ian, is moving through the Twin Cities metro, through the heart of the metro at this moment.
Okay, so all of Hennepin County is in a severe thunderstorm warning. Folks in the control room, let's come back over to Weather 1. All of Hennepin County in a severe thunderstorm warning. The latest tornado warning is for Dakota County until 9 p.m. There you see it, and it's illuminated and flashing. And I know we're trying to get Cody Matz, meteorologist Cody Matz, back on the phone. He is in Burnsville. So he is right in the heart of this storm, and there's 35. The one thing I want you to see here when you look at Burnsville and when we look here at Dakota County, I'm going to move in one step further because there's something I want you to see. Here's Burnsville. There's Spring Lake, Apple Valley. There's 35. Notice that little spin? That's something we call a tornado vortex signature. It does not mean there's a tornado on the ground. It means there is verified rotation at different levels of the storm. So this is generally what creates a Doppler indicated tornado or a Doppler warned tornado. So here, let's track the first one here that is just near Spring Lake and Apple Valley, moving off to the northeast at 35 miles per hour, into Orchard Garden in 7 minutes, into Eagan in 22 minutes. South Metro, personal storm plan into effect. Lakeville, Empire, I'm going to keep moving all around this little line here so we can move you up and down, because Dakota County, you are under the weather gun right now. Dakota County flashing in black right there in a tornado warning until 9 p.m. You see Hennepin County that's flashing right now, all of Hennepin County in a severe thunderstorm warning until 8:30. And if you're in any of these areas, look at the video on the corner of the screen. That is 35 southbound at 76. 35 southbound at 76. Notice how slow the cars are moving, almost like a winter storm. There is inordinate amounts of rain coming out of this storm. We will definitely have localized flash flooding over the next hour. If you're in an area that generally floods during real heavy rains, this is going to be one of those nights that you may be babysitting your own sump pump. So Dakota County in that tornado warning, this is the one I want to zoom in on so we can continue to track. And I'll give fair warning to everybody in the control room. I would love to talk to Cody Matz, who is live in Burnsville right now. Okay, I know you guys are working on it. You're the best. I'm just letting you know we're ready when you are. Here, I just want to clear this and move forward and in. So zoom in as we get a little closer here and talk about what's happening. So you've got Hennepin County in a severe thunderstorm warning. There's the northern edge of a new severe thunderstorm warning right here for Anoka, Chisago, Ramsey, and Washington counties. I mean, you can't get more fluid a severe weather situation than this. So from Hennepin County, now a new severe thunderstorm warning here for parts of the northwest metro for Anoka, Chisago, Ramsey, and Washington counties. Hennepin County also in a severe thunderstorm warning. Hennepin County until 8:30. Anoka, Chisago, Ramsey, and Washington counties until 9:15. Those are both basically the metro north of the airport. What I want to continue to concentrate on are these tornado vortex signatures that are rolling here into the tornado warning for Dakota County. And that tornado warning is in place until 9 p.m. tonight. So let me track one of these lines here. And there's Dakota County. And it's flashing black and white. But you notice the storm has not advanced wholly across the county yet as it crosses I-35 with blinding rain. So we've got 35W at 76 here in the bottom corner. I don't know what the top one is. Do we know, folks in the booth? Whatever it is, you can't see it. Yeah, that's our storm tracking vehicle, right? That's what we call the Beast or Dorothy, and that's in Bloomington now. So it gives you an idea of the rainfall rates from within our storm tracking vehicle. That, my friends, is an awful lot of rain, even hard for the windshield wipers to keep up. Jennifer, go ahead, because I'm going to keep tracking these. So I want everyone to stay on Weather 1 as Jennifer continues. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Well, I just want to give you a personal update that your wife just texted me, and Christy and your girls and your animals are all in the basement bathroom, and they are seeking shelter.
Oh. Killing me.
They're looking great.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Jennifer. Make me cry. Yeah, and you know, it becomes personal when you think about this. 3.5 million people in the Twin Cities metro. Severe thunderstorm warnings times 3 for the metro. Tornado warnings times 1 right now, and that is here for Dakota County. Look where the strongest portion of the cell that's advancing here into Newmarket in 10 minutes, into Lakeville in the next 23 minutes. And you just saw everything sort of jump forward. Notice that. This is what Jennifer was talking about earlier. See the bright white? It is right now approaching the 35 split. That's right there. So Buck Hill is right here, and then you get down toward Lakeville. You get down to Burnsville Center. It is all right here. That is the center of the strongest portion of this storm, just coming over I-35, working into the tornado warning here for Dakota County. That's valid until 9 p.m. I want you to think about this. That's a tornado warning that is valid for another 39 minutes. And what that goes to show us is that these storms have really hit the brakes. And as they hit the brakes, it's going to create even more rain in and around the greater metro. Bad news, because everything is paved and there's not a lot of places for it to go. Go ahead, Jennifer.
So real quick, I just want to point out that one tornado warning that we have currently in Dakota until 9 p.m. It's radar indicated, but on Weather 2, I'm looking at the velocities, and there's a signature that is concerning to me near Lakeville and Castle Rock. So just to the south of Apple Valley, near areas, well, this latest radar scan actually just helped us out with that rotation. Makes
This is
it
what you're
look
talking
a little
about
weaker.
here, the TVS?
Right, yes.
Yeah.
That's where on our velocity it is beginning to look a little
Okay, so
intense.
let's take this forward and off to the northeast. That's where your velocity is picking up. And I'm going to go northeast and call it 30. So to give you an idea, the flashing black background, that's Dakota County in the tornado warning until 9. We've got Apple Valley here into well, right now. Cedar Grove in 7 minutes, Sunfish Lake in the next 20 minutes. There's a live look outside. Courtney Godfrey, you're with me right now in our storm tracking vehicle, and this is a live look at the hail. Are you okay?
Yes, we're safe, Ian.
Wow. Well, how's the vehicle?
Yeah, wow
Mom's
is
gonna be
right.
mad.
And the hail just. Mom's not going to be happy about this one. At home, the 2.5-year-old and the husband are in the basement where they should be.
Yeah.
But we're out here in Bloomington along 35W. The hail just started in. It's small hail at this point, but the rain has been coming down for the last 15, 20 minutes. Our car here is reading the wind gusts, and the highest wind gust that we saw was probably about 10 minutes ago at 49 miles per hour. Wow. It feels like certainly the storm seems to be getting closer and closer. We've had some wind gusts that have really given the car a good shake.
Wow, that's and that's our new storm tracking vehicle. Some call it Dorothy, some call it the Beast. It's somewhere in between. Courtney, great information. You're in Bloomington. We can see the hail. We can see how strong this storm is. Please stay safe wherever you are and keep us up to date as this storm passes your location. Courtney Godfrey, thank you very much. I want to go over to Jennifer McDermed in the Weather Center.
New tornado warning for Anoka, Hennepin, and Ramsey. And this is a radar indicated tornado warning, and this is in place until 9 p.m. This was just issued, and it's apparently moving northeast at 65 miles an hour. Latest located over Brooklyn Park, about 10 miles north of Minneapolis, and moving to the northeast.
Okay, got it right here. Thank you. So new tornado warning issued for Anoka, Hennepin, and Ramsey counties. That is in place until 9 p.m. You're looking at live video from the Fox 9 storm chasing vehicle that is currently parked in Bloomington and is being inundated by small hail. It's tough for me to even estimate the size of that hail, but I'd probably say nickel to quarter size just looking at it bounce off the car and the windshield. Now, with that latest tornado warning for Anoka, Hennepin, and Ramsey County, let's track the cell as it moves off to the north. So here's our latest mesocyclone signature, that little gold box that is just off to the south of Minneapolis, which puts us into Columbia Heights and Fridley all in the next 15 to 23 minutes. And again, the video you're looking at live, that's, oh, the hail's actually getting bigger. That is the Fox 9 storm chase vehicle. We call it the Beast. It is parked in Bloomington, and that is an intense storm. The latest tornado warning for Anoka, Hennepin, and Ramsey counties until 9 p.m. Don't forget about the tornado warning in place for Dakota County, in place until 9 p.m. So as you're looking at things here, and you're thinking to yourself, well, Ian, you're talking about an awful lot of storms here. There pretty much is, and they're almost right across the greater metro. I'm going to zoom out and give you a better idea. Look, I'll be honest with you. When you look at this mass of storms rolling through, and here's the line of strength, and granted, this is an arbitrary line, but we're looking at Doppler intensity here, and everywhere we see that white. And remember, the storm chasing vehicle, the video right here, that's in Bloomington. All of this are the most intense portions of this storm. Doppler indicated tornado warnings doesn't mean you don't put your storm plan into effect. Interior rooms away from windows, you can see what's happening to the storm chase vehicle. It is all about cranking up the volume on your TV and going wherever that safe room is. My wife, my daughters, my dog, all downstairs in the bathroom. I know you can hear me. Good job, Baxter. You're a good boy. Exactly where everybody should be. Now, when you look at this line of storms that's rolling through, exactly where we find the white is where I'm going to take it, through Hennepin County, and I'm going to push it off at 30 miles per hour to the north and to the northeast. So we're putting this into areas like Uptown right now, Coon Rapids in the next 10 minutes. So the strongest portion of the storm, and when I say strongest portion of the storm, I'm not talking about the wind. I'm not talking about the hail or the rain or the thunder or the lightning. I'm talking about the wind, or the perception that the straight line winds are exactly where we're talking, rolling across the metro. As Jennifer pointed out, in Shakopee, we had wind gusts approaching 80 miles per hour just 15 minutes ago. 80 mile per hour winds in Shakopee just 15 minutes ago. Jennifer's continuing to look at everything that is on our storm reports as we move through. This will give you a much better idea of exactly where the tornado warnings are. Because I know when you start to look at the map, you go, oh my, I can't tell what's going on. There it is. There's a much better idea. I'll take away all of the Doppler radar. So you've got 2 tornado warnings. Notice here, from sort of downtown Minneapolis all the way north past Forest Lake, into Rogers, Lino Lakes, St. Michael, back here into parts of northwestern Hennepin County. So that's Anoka, Hennepin, and Ramsey County. That flashing tornado warning there until 9 p.m. The tornado warning for Dakota County, there it is, flashing from the I-35 and I-35 split off here into South St. Paul. I mean, these basically meet, and then it stretches down here to almost Goodhue County. As I'm live on the air, there is a new severe thunderstorm warning for the entirety of Goodhue County. You can see that yellow sort of flashing and rolling right here, and a new severe thunderstorm warning stretching back here for parts of Wright County, for parts of Stearns County, all the way here into northeastern Wright County. So this entire block here, everywhere that is yellow, gold shaded, those are severe thunderstorm warnings. Everywhere that is red shaded, flashing black and white, those are tornado warnings. It gives you an idea. This is a massive storm, and the massive capabilities here for straight line winds to develop and continue to roll right across the metro. We're getting word now that over 30,000 homes in the greater Twin Cities metro are without power. If you know somebody, or maybe they called you, make sure they've got the Fox 9 weather app. They can watch radar. They can hear my voice. We have live programming. Without power, the Fox 9 weather app is going to get you through this storm. But there's a really good look at the tornado warnings that are in place fully for another 30 minutes. So look, you've got the video from the storm chase vehicle in Bloomington, and look, I mean, it's all just bouncing off the windshield. You've got the other video from I-35. That camera is located southbound at 76th Street. What will happen here, and I'll tell you what happens, is see the storms here as they roll here from downtown Minneapolis down towards Burnsville, everywhere off to the west. Areas like Waconia, Belle Plaine, areas like Prior Lake back off to Hutchinson, even Litchfield. You're like, Okay, so now we've got thunder, lightning, and some very heavy rain. But your areas from Litchfield here over to Waconia, stretching back toward the west, you are now just in rain. Your severe weather threat has ended. The severe weather threat is now rolling through parts of Wright County, Hennepin County, Ramsey County, Washington County, all the way down to Dakota County, and now off here into parts of Goodhue County. So you get the idea. It is slowly, ever so slowly advancing. The threat is still there for straight line winds at upwards of 70 miles per hour across the greater Twin Cities metro. We got Jennifer McDermed in the Weather Center. The one thing Jennifer's been pinpointing with excellence all night has been the location of the straight line winds by looking on the other side of these storms using our Doppler Velocity scope. Jennifer, you want to take it on and let folks in the control room know we're going to switch over to Weather 2. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, if we can switch over to Weather 2, that would be great. This tornado warning in the North Metro, I really want to focus on this one because these strong winds are currently where the red and the green shade are meeting. So as I take a closer look into it, these strong winds are currently moving across areas near Andover, along 65 down through Blaine, along 35. You can see as I'm moving this radar scope, this circle, where the red and that green meet, that is where the winds are the strongest. Near
Jennifer, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Do me a favor. Pull off the radar scope and then put it back and make it bigger.
Okay.
And then let's talk about, so where we see, what you're looking at there is rain, and that purple and that white, that's very heavy rain. Now what you're looking at is something we call Doppler velocity. And what Jennifer was talking about here is this line, and Jennifer, I'll give it back to you in just a minute. But you see that line that's working right here? Those are winds that are now working away from the Doppler site. Doppler velocity said these are very strong winds, and Jennifer has been watching these all night. So areas, you know, just off to the east of Blaine and the Blaine airport. I'm telling you, Jennifer, these are winds at probably 60 to 70.
Yeah, around 60 to 70 miles an hour, extending from Little Canada all the way up towards Blaine. We've had
downtown
reports.
St. Paul to Andover right now. That's where that line is, that red line. Downtown St. Paul all the way to Andover. That's the wind line advancing off to the east. Those winds at 60 to 70 miles per hour.
Yeah, we've had reports in Hopkins, 64 miles an hour, Richfield, 61 miles an hour. So we know these storms are strong. We know they have a history of producing these kind of winds. So areas to the east of Shoreview, near White Bear Lake, near Little Canada, along 35W, up towards Lino Lakes, this is where we have the strongest of the winds, the highest wind speeds beginning to find their way, and especially into downtown St. Paul right now. As you mentioned, basically from Andover all the way down through St. Paul. And one thing to note is that tornadic or not, these are very strong storms.
Great point. It's a great point.
You need to be seeking shelter right now.
Yeah.
And typically within these kind of storms, we can see little notches within the straight line winds that may try and produce a little bit of a spin up. But for the most part, everyone is going to be dealing with these strong winds.
All here, Andover all the way down to St. Paul. And again, these are winds that are advancing from west to east. Thank you, Jennifer. Awesome. Let's go now to Weather 1. And fair warning, if we could try and find the mics for Randy and Kelsey. Oh, we've got you guys?
We're here.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so Randy and Kelsey join us in the studio. It's a monumental, severe weather evening because of the width and breadth of these storms. Any takeaways so far, Randy and Kelsey?
I just have one question for you. You guys are doing an awesome job of keeping us up to date, minute by minute, actually second by second. But I am curious, as you saw that Jennifer showed that straight line image of those winds in the red and the green. The folks to the, what would be the northeast of that now, Ian, let's move out to say New Richmond, Hudson, Stillwater, that area that moves to the northeast of that line. Are you expecting those winds to decrease, or does this just keep moving at that tough pace?
This is kind of like a moving caravan. So those winds will fluctuate, but for the better part of the last 5 counties, from west to east, those winds have fluctuated between 50 and 80 miles per hour. So straight line wind events still in place. This is the approximation of the line that we were just talking about with Jennifer. And Randy, you're talking about areas here, out to the northeast, along the St. Croix into New Richmond, Amory, back toward North Branch. You know, you've got like Forest Lake, Forest Lake you've got here. All of those parts of the viewing area, these winds will continue to advance. They'll advance slowly, forward speed of the storm at around 35 miles per hour. The actual wind is running between 60 and 70 miles per hour. So strong straight line winds, damaging straight line winds, all a part of this tornado warning. And again, it's a Doppler indicated tornado warning, but I'll let you in on a little secret. A tornado warning is issued when there's the threat of a tornado or strong straight line winds and the possibility of a tornado. In this particular case, we've had some spin-ups, some brief spin-ups of reported tornado touchdowns, but this is a Doppler indicated tornado warning. The primary threat as of this second is straight line winds at 60 to 70 miles per hour. That's the tornado warning there for parts of Anoka and Ramsey County. You see it flashing in black and white, really from Blaine up here to I-35 through the 35 split and down back off to say Plymouth and North Minneapolis. I know Courtney Godfrey is still in our Fox 9 chase vehicle. Call it Dorothy. They're in Bloomington. Courtney, what do you got for us? We're going to get back to Courtney.
Well, while we wait to get back to Courtney, I do have some reports. You know, about 30 minutes ago, this was sitting on top of the Shakopee area, and one of our producers who lives down there is showing some pictures of almost golf ball sized hail that fell at her house.
Oh, it's on there.
This is a large wind maker, a big rain maker, and all day long we've been talking about one of the primary threats being large hail. So golf ball, ping pong ball size, all the way up to baseball size hail. All a possibility tonight. By the way, I'd love to see the picture.
And we're trying to get it. We're trying to get that for you right now. And then another thing I'm hearing from people is that they're getting, because of the winds, their cell service is going out for brief periods of time too. And that actually happened to me up here. All of a sudden my phone said no service, no service, and then it came back on. But these are really strong winds, and they're consistently strong as this is moving.
So hang on 2 seconds, Randy. Courtney is in Bloomington. There you see the weather chase vehicle. Courtney, are you still getting hail?
No, Ian, the rain has really toned down, and the hail has stopped. The hail was a pea-sized hail, and it's stopped now. What's amazing here is the people that are still on 35W. We've seen semi-trucks, gas tankers still on 35W, and in the last 30 minutes, we've seen wind gusts that are up to 45 miles per hour. So, you know, everyone should be seeking shelter at this point. But, you know, in the last hour, the temperature has dropped 10 degrees out here. We've seen wind gusts in the 40 mile per hour, 45 mile per hour range, and heavy rain and hail.
Wow, you know, that's one thing great about the weather vehicle is it has all of the instrumentation on board to measure the temperature rise, the temperature drop, the wind speed. I know you are in a safe location, Courtney. Continue to stay there, and as we get reports that need to be dispatched, we'll probably be moving you around more tonight as these storms roll across the metro, and we want folks to see what they leave in their wake. So thank you, Courtney Godfrey, live in Bloomington. You will notice something. The tornado warning here for parts of Dakota County has really begun to shrink down. Notice it has come off I-35 and it has now worked here to the east of Lakeville. Randy, I interrupted you, sorry, and I apologize for that. What were you trying to go with?
No, I just want to make a note for those folks. You remember 2 nights ago, Taylor's Falls, you mentioned the St. Croix River Valley, Taylor's Falls in that area got hit very hard as well. I just want to sort of pick your brain on whether or not they are in the path of these straight line winds again just 2 nights later.
Yeah, they really are. You know, I'm going to move the map here. So there's the North Metro tornado warning in place for parts of Anoka and Ramsey County until 9 p.m. And what we're looking at here, and I've been talking about this all night, where we find that brightest white, those are rainfall rates indicating at least 1.5 inches of rain per hour. But it's more than just rain because the Doppler is not able to look and really tell the difference between raindrop, large raindrop, small hailstone, large hailstone. So what it does is say there's something really big here. It could be rain or it could be hail. So that's the core of the storm there. And notice it hasn't shifted too terribly far in the last 10 minutes, but everything here, Randy, is running out to the east, northeast. Everything from downtown Minneapolis and St. Paul across the St. Croix River Valley off to the east, northeast. And that's going to continue here the better part of the next, call it 90 minutes. So I want to shift. It's a great question, though, when you think about those people and the damage that we had. in Taylor's Falls, it is going to be another night of damage. Remember, I was just talking about that bright white? Look what happens here when we move down to the South Metro tornado warning. This is for Dakota County. Remember, I said it's pulled away from I-35. It's pulled away from the 35 split here at Burnsville and Buck Hill. It is not as big as it was. Here it is, edging into areas like Sunfish Lake, almost into Afton, and then just north of Northfield. But there's the bright white zones I was talking about. Very, very heavy rain combined with very large hail confused the Doppler unit, and the Doppler unit says, oh my gosh, there is an awful lot of something right here, which is where we get the bright white and the purple. And at this point, we've got a couple of tornado vortex signatures beginning to spin up. And those are the ones I want to get down on for this tornado warning for parts of Dakota County. So here, just to the north of Empire and right over top of Castle Rock. I'm not talking about a tornado on the ground. I'm talking about enough spin in the atmosphere that the Doppler says, wait a minute, there's verified spin at different levels of the atmosphere. I've got to tell people, and that's exactly what we have here. See, it says early. That's an early tornado vortex signature. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Calling me. Are you ready?
You have Keith calling you?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Keith Marler, you're on the phone.
You're on.
Oh, hey guys. Yeah, I'm calling up here. I'm on the Maple Grove Plymouth border. It's gotten really quiet really suddenly here. I'm on the backside of all that. I was calling a little earlier, just letting you know as that wind borderline couplet came on through initially through the West Metro. I know it's traveling to the east and the northeast now. The gusts went from relatively calm to here at my house. It was just around the 40 to 45 mile per hour mark. But it was within about a 2-minute period. It went from still with light rain to visibilities that dropped to less than 100 yards. Wow. I couldn't see down my street from my neighborhood like I normally do, or across the swampy areas here. And the winds, they were gusting those trees nearly sideways as well. But the rain came down pretty hard, but then just as instantly, with about 8 minutes, I got rain, but no more wind here. So as you guys have shown, that parts of the West Metro are kind of out of that opportunity for the larger activity. But when it came through, even in the non-tornado warned storms, even in the folks that have no hail, I've got, a lot of branches and sticks, and even the low wind folks that are on this side of the coin are experiencing the mess on the other side of this big gust front.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for checking in with us. I know you're safe with your family at home tonight. By the way, Keith calling in here from the Northwest Metro, where now it is just rain, and an awful lot of rain from parts of Hennepin County, stretching here all the way back into Wright County, and then south to Meeker, McLeod, Scott, and Carver counties. 2 tornado warnings still on the map that are valid. They are in place until 9 p.m. You'll notice them flashing in black and white. Anoka and Ramsey County, it is here. It is a misshapen, if you will, tornado warning. I want to do one thing. I want to track what we find here right in the middle of this tornado warning. See the gold box? That is what we call a meso signature. Now, it's different than a tornado vortex signature. It tells us there is some degree of rotation in only parts of the storm. Hence what we call a Doppler indicated tornado warning. So that's the one we're going to go down and take a look at, and we're going to track this storm as it moves out here off to the northeast. There it is, just the center of this storm, just off to the southwest of Lino Lakes, north of Shoreview, into Lino Lakes in 6 minutes, into Forest Lake fully in the next 25 minutes. And we've been talking an awful lot about the 35 split. So here's where 35W comes out of downtown Minneapolis. Here's where 35E comes out of downtown St. Paul. That's where we find the split. There's Forest Lake. That's where the strongest portion of this storm is, embedded in the tornado warning for Anoka and Ramsey counties. If you haven't done so already, Anoka, Ramsey County, Shoreview, Lino Lakes, Forest Lake, back up into areas like Maplewood and Little Canada. These are places I would love to have you with your personal storm plan into effect. As the storm rocks, you need to rock your storm plan. You need to get away from windows, get into an interior room of your house, get into the lowest level of your house, crank up the TV if you can't see it from where you are. Jennifer and I and Randy and Kelsey and the entire Fox 9 News and Weather team will be loud enough that you'll be able to hear us. We'll get you through the storm, and we'll have you come out the other side of the storm safe and sound. So again, that tornado warning for Anoka and Ramsey County, that is in place until 9 p.m. Now I'm going to move you back down to the remnants or the shrinking remnants here of what is the Doppler indicated tornado warning. There you see it flashing in black and white for parts of Dakota County. But the one thing I want you to notice here, another tornado vortex signature. Earlier when we were looking at it, it said the word early. In other words, it hadn't confirmed the rotation in all parts of the storm. Now we've got a tornado vortex signature. Once again, it doesn't mean there's a tornado on the ground. It means there's confirmed spin at different levels of this storm. And this is a storm that needs to be tracked as it moves here off to the north. I think these storms, and they are. See, the Doppler's telling me that's now moving to the north and to the northeast at over 40 miles per hour. So the storm's starting to pick up a little forward momentum. Doppler indicated tornado storms with straight line winds measured in the metro in the last 30 minutes between 70 and 80 mile per hour widespread winds. Now, here's the latest tornado warning. Look at where the spin goes into Newport in 5 minutes. So that's right before you go over the Dakota Bridge. Right? Newport's just down to the right-hand side. You go over the Dakota Bridge. Now you're moving off to the northeast into Woodbury in 12 minutes, into Lake Elmo in 21 minutes. Randy, this is your neck of the woods.
Yeah, that storm will be into Newport, you said, in 4 or 5 minutes from now. So now you're crossing the Mississippi River, getting set to head into Woodbury, and then you're getting very close to that 494-94 split right there at Woodbury, and then on into Afton and Lake Elmo. You can see there in 21 minutes, and you're right on the border of the two states at that point.
Yeah, so there's the loop where you get into 494. So there it is once you get to the split. And Randy, you know this area well. So coming over the Dakota Bridge, that's the strongest portion of the storm right now, heading in toward areas like Newport, into Woodbury and Lake Elmo, all within the next 21 minutes. I'm going to clear that latest track, and I just want everybody to keep in mind that although your portion of the greater metro might not be exactly in the tornado warned zones, of which there are 2 right now, there is still plenty of very heavy rain. Look at the rain stretching all the way back to Wilmer. So I'm going to do this. I'll give you an idea. From Maple Grove all the way down to Eden Prairie. Maple Grove, let's do a line for you. Maple Grove all the way down to Eden Prairie. Everywhere west of that line, you are rain. You are not severe weather. Everywhere to the east of that line, you are still severe weather, including Anoka and Ramsey counties, that shrinking slice in the tornado warning with straight line winds possible 70 to 80 miles per hour, including Dakota County. Tornado warning that is pulled away from I-35. That tornado warning still capable of winds at 70 to 80 miles per hour. Both Doppler indicated tornado warnings, both no confirmed tornado touchdowns, but confirmed winds upwards of 70 miles per hour. And this lobe of the storm here has now all shifted to the east of I-35, both north and south, and it continues to roll across the St. Croix, approaching areas like Goodhue County. Goodhue County in a severe thunderstorm warning. Here from Ramsey and Washington County, stretching across the St. Croix, new severe thunderstorm warning. This block of storms will continue to race off to the east at around 35 miles per hour. And I know Jennifer's putting together a list, because I'll tell you, once we're finished with tonight, the storm damage list isn't going to be a page or 2. It's going to be volumetric when we start to talk about what happens when you have winds, straight line winds at 70 to 80 miles per hour. So there's going to be plenty going on that we'll see in the light of day. We are now past sunset. The sky should be dark, but they felt like they were about midnight about an hour ago as these strong storms started to make their approach. I want to zoom out here and give you a better idea of the greater Twin Cities metro and surrounding areas, because you've got these severe thunderstorm warnings now that are really starting to ribbon. And here, if you get the idea, remember earlier we were talking about a bow, and there it is, that bow, and the arrow is the straight line winds that extend out from these areas of storms at 60 to 70 miles per hour. The area of low pressure that's causing this, it's spinning right here. So this entire cluster is spinning and ejecting itself here out to the northeast, and that's going to continue as we work over the next 4 or 5 hours. This will eventually, in the next hour, including the metro, become one big rain maker. But now, as I say that, as you look, I was just outlining where that bow is. On the southern side of that bow is where we now find a new tornado warning for Blue Earth and Waseca counties. So that's our latest, the latest tornado warning for Blue Earth and Waseca counties. I'll take you down so you can get a better idea here. So we're just off to the east of Mankato. We're approaching, where are we there? Let me know in the booth where we're looking at. Okay, so this is Bloomington from our storm chase vehicle. Obviously the hail's finished and the rain is there, but it's not as intense as it was earlier. The latest tornado warning for Blue Earth and Waseca counties until 9:15, and now just to the east of that, a new severe thunderstorm warning for Steele and Waseca counties until 9:30. So this is an area of storms that was a concern to us earlier because Owatonna, as of about 8 p.m. tonight, was still holding on to a temperature of 91 degrees, which meant there was still plenty of ripe, raw atmospheric fuel for these storms to ride into. But the southern branch of these storms was moving so very slow. So let me take this out one step further to give you a better idea. So there it is, Blue Earth and Waseca counties until 9:15 with the latest tornado warning. Move along the entirety of this edge of storms. This line here moving into areas like Goodhue County, Dakota, Goodhue, and Pierce counties in severe thunderstorm warnings until 9:30. Again, that leading edge is where we have the possibility of producing winds of 60, 70, even 80 mile per hour straight line winds. And we continue to move up the line here so that the tornado warning for the North Metro has now been allowed to expire. The tornado warning for the South Metro for Dakota County has now been allowed to expire. As of this moment, we have one tornado warning on the map, and it is here well to the south, just off to the east of Mankato. It is for Waseca County until 9:15. Now, this is starting to shape up more as a straight line wind event, a straight line wind event here that is starting to advance these storms now east of areas like downtown St. Paul. I'm always tickled when we have friends from Fox 9 give us a shout to let us know how things are, because really storms become about regular people and how storms can affect regular people. My friend Jason Matheson is downtown Minneapolis. Jason, my friend, tell me what's going on this rocking Wednesday evening.
Well, Ian, I'm here on my balcony. We're in the North Loop of Minneapolis, and you are looking live. To give you a little perspective, that is the brand new Four Seasons Tower in front of you. The golden lights are the Wells Fargo building. Just about 5 minutes ago, that building, the IDS, and the Capella building were not visible from where we were. Wow. And I'm going to step in a little bit more, Ian, and turn to the right. You see that burst of white light? That is Target Field. We were supposed to be there earlier tonight, so we're thinking of everyone, all of the spectators who are either making their way to their car or still in the stadium right now. But looking at your radar, Ian, it seems that the downtown area was in that pocket between the two strongest parts of that storm. So other than about 10 minutes of really intense, and I mean probably the most intense wind I have seen since I've lived in downtown, we came pretty unscathed. As you can see right now, it's just a light wind event going on right now. And like I said, the buildings you're looking at now, from my vantage point, were not there about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, blinding rain mixed with those winds in excess of 50 and 60 miles per hour. I'd imagine there's going to be plenty of tree branches around downtown Minneapolis, downtown St. Paul, and the greater metro area as we wake up with the light of day tomorrow morning. And it's a great point, Jason, about stadiums. Earlier we heard that Minnesota United had evacuated the stands. There are always safe places to go, generally the concourse levels in most of the stadiums. The Twins, our own Mace Michaels, the Twins home meteorologist, probably on top of that, took care of business. It's one of those things that, you know, we want to enjoy the great outdoors. There's such a limited time in the great state of Minnesota, but unfortunately on nights like this, we'll pick up some strong storms. And it's really amazing when you think about this, Jason, that from your vantage point, I mean, those buildings look like they could be so brilliant each and every night. And you're saying you couldn't even see them.
I couldn't even see them. And Ian, I'll tell you, the strongest storm event lasted a good 10 minutes. The tree that you see to the right, just to the right of the golden hues of the Wells Fargo building, the tree is, to give you a little perspective, is basically right outside my balcony. That tree a rather large one, basically bent all the way to the left. And that type of wind activity lasted for about 5 minutes. It was really strong. And like I said, the buildings you're seeing in front, even the brand new, and I'll point right there, there's my fit. That building right there, which is the brand new, I know this is amateur graphics, Ian, but that building right there, we could not see from our balcony just a few minutes ago. It was a remarkable sight. Having lived in this particular space for about 5 years, we had never seen anything like this from our vantage point.
Well, I'm glad you're safe. I'm really glad you called in, Jason. It's wonderful to have you as a guest when we're talking about severe weather from downtown Minneapolis. I think a lot of times downtown Minneapolis becomes that area, well, they're in apartment buildings, they'll be fine. It's the people in the outskirts, in the homes and the mobile homes and the smaller communities. But as evidenced by you, it was super intense and more importantly, dangerous for downtown Minneapolis. Jason, my friend, thank you. I owe you. I'll call into the Jason show one of these days and we'll have a talk about I don't know what. But thank you, my friend. Very great information there. Okay, so back to Storm Vision Live. As you look at this ribbon here of severe thunderstorm warnings, and this is where things get interesting. As these storms advance, and they're advancing here, and you'll notice this starts to take the shape of a comma. I talk about that area of low pressure. It's a weak area of low pressure here, and this entirety is spinning, and as it spins, it's going to work here off to the northeast, but it's also creating this line of severe thunderstorm warnings, including one lone tornado warning right now in Waseca County that is in place until 9:15. Let me do this because I want to get this out of the way. As you look at the greater metro, and I think this is really important, I am going to get to the warnings in just a minute, but as you look at the greater metro, I want everybody in the loop. You know, the loop of 494 and 694. I want folks to think to themselves, where are we in terms of these storms? Where are we in terms of the danger of these storms? So from downtown Minneapolis, all areas off to the west. Important here, from downtown Minneapolis, all areas off to the west are in rain, a little thunder, a little lightning. Your severe weather threat has gone almost to zero. From downtown St. Paul, north and south, off to the east, all the way off to the southeast, we are still in a significant storm threat. A significant storm threat, the greatest of which, straight line winds in excess of 60 miles per hour and plenty of reports of ping pong plus size hail over the last 90 minutes here in the greater Twin Cities metro. You see them flashing. All areas that are outlined and illuminated in yellow are severe thunderstorm warnings. How about we do this? How about we make our way in and around so we can, if you will, keep score. So, severe thunderstorm warning for Burnett and Pine counties until 9:30. Severe thunderstorm warning for Chisago, Polk, and St. Croix counties until 9:45. We'll continue to move around the map and scale things off down toward the south. There's Chisago, Polk, and St. Croix.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Amory, New Richmond, Woodville. Severe thunderstorm warning, Chisago, Polk, and St. Croix until 9:45. Now here we go into the southeast metro, greater metro, including Goodhue County. Severe thunderstorm warning until 9:30 for Dakota, Goodhue, and Pierce counties. And then all the way to the south, severe thunderstorm warnings for Steele and Waseca counties until 9:30. There is plenty going on tonight, and I want to make sure that you realize as we move through the next few minutes, we're also going to move our way into the Fox 9 News, because after the weather, there is always plenty to talk about, but right now it is also about strong storms moving. So the tornado warning here still in place for northern portions of Waseca County, bracketed by a severe thunderstorm warning for Steele and Waseca counties. As we move down toward parts of Goodhue County, so Dakota, Goodhue County, still a really intense thunderstorm coming out of Dakota County, but the tornado warning for Dakota County has been allowed to expire. Doesn't mean there's not a strong storm there. There is, from Inver Grove Heights, from Sunfish Lake, from Newport, all the way down here into parts of northern Goodhue County off to
And welcome to our 9 o'clock hour here on Fox 9 News at 9. It has been a wild evening of weather as powerful storms rumble across our state. This is in Jordan, where sheets of rain appeared to be coming in sideways because they were.
This storm system also bringing plenty of lightning and thunder. We're going to take a look here in a second at Highway 169 in Shakopee. The storm was there about 8 o'clock, about 45 minutes ago.
Also, let's move a little bit south. Plenty of rain, thunderstorms, lightning in Victoria tonight. You can see those sheets of rain blowing across the streets there as well.
And we're hearing reports of storm damage in a lot of places tonight, plus power outages. This is video from Mankato of a chimney blown right off the roof of a home.
Storms also dumping hail in many parts of the Twin Cities. This was the scene from our crew in Bloomington. And if you look closely, let's go to that shot right now. This is our crew in Bloomington. There's some really good sized hail there, almost golf ball size in some cases. That was a bigger example of what was going on in many parts. This is from senior producer Samantha Gronlund, the $50 golf ball size. This is on the west side of Shakopee.
And tonight, tens of thousands of people are without power. Right now, the latest reports about 65,000 Xcel Energy customers are in the dark tonight. And of course, that number will probably grow.
Those crews will be out trying to fix that, but until they can get to those areas with the bad weather, it might be a while. Chief Meteorologist Ian Leonard has been on this thing since late this afternoon, early evening. And Ian, this storm has evolved quickly. Once it moved into the West Metro, a lot of different types of weather events were taking place.
Yeah, it's almost like and I mentioned this online, on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. I mentioned it earlier today. All facets of severe weather were going to be in play. So heavy rain, absolutely. Flooding rain. Large hail, absolutely. Strong straight line damaging winds, we had them. And of course, tornado warnings. Now, as you look live at Storm Vision, there is still plenty going on the map with this ribbon of severe thunderstorm warnings as the storm begins to pull away from the metro. Now, when I say that, you may look out the window and go, it's still raining. There's still thunder and lightning. From downtown Minneapolis west, this is not a severe weather maker anymore. This is some big time rain, thunder, and lightning. From downtown Minneapolis off to the east, including Chisago, Polk, St. Croix, Chisago, Washington, Pine, Burnett, all the way down to Goodhue County and Rice and Steele counties, all illuminated in yellow, all in severe thunderstorm warnings until 9:30 or 9:45. Plenty going on regionally. Still a good night to stay skyward, particularly if you're here East Metro, along the St. Croix, into west central Wisconsin, the Mississippi River Valley, down the south, off southeast, eventually toward Rochester, La Crosse, and the Mississippi River Valley. Plenty to talk about in the wake of these storms tonight. My friend Babs is down in Jordan tonight, where we had him the better part of this evening. And Babs, at some point, the video that you were feeding in from Jordan showed the most intense thunderstorm I think I've seen, wind-whipped rain, in almost 32 years on the air. Tell me what that was like.
For us, it all started with that tornado warning that lasted for about 45 minutes. So we found some shelter here in Jordan, right next to 169. This was really a perfect spot to watch as this entire storm passed us by. And the first sign that the weather was changing was the light outside, because we were looking around. It was about 45 minutes to sunset, but suddenly, in a matter of seconds, the entire horizon had gone dark. And not only did it get dark out, but actually in this part of Jordan, the power flickered out at that same time. It was out maybe for about 10 seconds before coming back on. But from that point in, then the rain became the factor, the biggest factor, because a blinding wall of rain came through the area, making it very difficult to see anything around you. This is pretty flat and open land here, but you couldn't see anything because of the amount of rain that was being dumped on us in such a short amount of time. Of course, throughout all of that, you can see in part of this video that you were mentioning, Ian, the lightning in the area was almost constant across the sky for close to half an hour. Now at this point, about an hour later, still plenty of lightning, just not as frequent. Really the worst of this wave of weather has seemed to pass us by. But as it continues across the state, viewers are going to want to be ready for anything tonight. Back to you.
All right, Babs, thank you very much. Again, Babs, in that Jordan area where you saw those heavy sheets of rain, just one example.
Yeah, this all starting around 7:30, that long line of storms hitting the heart of the metro. We've had Courtney Godfrey out where you can see some flooding in Richfield tonight. So, Courtney, tell us about what you've been seeing.
Yeah, Kelsey, we've been in the Southwest Metro all evening, and this really started to get bad around 8 o'clock. We got pea-size hail and heavy rain around the 8 o'clock, 8:30 hour. Our measuring devices here in the car, the amazing thing about this weather vehicle is that we have measuring devices that tell us what the wind speed is, what the humidity is, what the temperature is. Temperatures dropped 10 degrees in Bloomington as we watched that system move in, and we saw wind speeds that were topping about 45 miles per hour. At one point, we saw wind speeds that hit 49 miles per hour. At the peak of this storm, we in fact encountered a downed tree. We encountered a 30-foot tall downed tree in the middle of the road blocking traffic, and a flooded parking garage. Right now, the picture that you're looking at is Richfield on 494 West at Portland Avenue, where 494 West is flooded. State Patrol is out here trying to warn drivers, but traffic is backed up for quite a ways as cars are trying to get through this flooded freeway.
All right, Courtney Godfrey.
Say that again, please.
In Richfield, you can see that minor flooding. We've kind of talked about this could happen. Some of those areas we're going to get heavy rain, 2 to 3 inches, maybe more in some areas if that system hovered. And in some parts of the Twin Cities, it did, in fact, do some hovering.
Yeah, and we're looking at 71,000 customers Xcel Energy is reporting without power at this point. Also, Ian, you had talked about the Twins game. They were playing the Astros tonight. They got 3 innings in, and then, of course, they're in a weather delay, but they were getting the pea-sized hail right there, too. So sirens were going off across the metro.
Important to note too, Ian, that this storm is not over. I mean, people are watching us or listening to us right now that are in the far east corner of Minnesota, there by the river, the St. Croix River, and then moving into Wisconsin. They're still getting the brunt of these straight line winds.
Yeah, and I hear them all the time, and they say, please don't forget about us, and we're not. I want to bring you up to date. So with the power outages, over 70,000 people without power. I was just looking at some of the wind gust readings. We've been talking for the last hour and a half about these straight line winds. We had reports of straight line winds in Eden Prairie here at the station, 67 miles per hour. We have reports in Shakopee of upwards of 76 mile per hour wind gusts, and those winds are continuing to race here off to the east. So let's do a quick, if you will, a little housekeeping and talk about where everything is right now. So I'm going to clear the zone, and we're going to go up and down this line of severe thunderstorm warnings because there are plenty that are beginning to develop here just off to the north and to the east of the Twin Cities Metro. So Burnett and Pine, you can see it flashing right here. And keep in mind, remember I said everything is tracking off to the east. You're going to see these warnings almost march, the flashing black and yellow. It's going to march, and then there'll be a new set of warnings. And then it will march, and there'll be a new set of warnings. So this is slowly marching out of the metro. But I don't want you to forget that involved in all of these clusters of storms that are now along a line here of downtown St. Paul and all areas off to the east, along and all areas east, still involved with straight line winds of 60 to 80 miles per hour. Hence these severe thunderstorm warnings. So severe thunderstorm warnings for Burnett and Pine, that's this area right here. Severe thunderstorm warning for Chisago, Polk, and St. Croix County. So you notice we're crossing the St. Croix River Valley. Now as I slide down to find the next line of storms, including Goodhue, Dakota, and Pierce counties until 9:30, and a severe thunderstorm warning here for Steele and Waseca counties also in place until 9:30. Again, this line, if you were to put it on the map, from just coming through the St. Croix River Valley and now making up most of the western portions of Goodhue County, this is where things are starting, I don't want to overstate, but as these storms, in particular here from Goodhue County off to the south, as these storms continue to move into some very hot, humid air, there is plenty of fuel to continue to move these storms as we talk about inflow from both sides here, creating these storms to grow as they ripple along a very robust warm front. So let's get down, because the one thing you're starting to see, and I know you'll strain your eyes if you're getting to be aged like me. Notice it says early in their spin, and then you look here at that bright white. This is what we talked about earlier. That bright white is like the Doppler locking onto either big raindrops, big hail, or big wet hail stones. It's a combination of both. But any way you look at it, that's the core, the most intense part of the storm. And on the latest Doppler scan, look what happened. 1 gold square, 2 gold square, and a Doppler tornado vortex signature. The gold squares, mesocyclones, they indicate there's some degree of rotation in that storm. So let's track all 3 of these cells. First cell here that is now just off to the north of Red Wing, puts it into Trimble in 22 minutes. Next cell here that is just off to the west of Red Wing, moving off to the northeast at 30 miles per hour, puts it into Welsh Ski Village in about 9 minutes. And the one here that is a tornado vortex signature just off to the west of Goodhue puts it into Goodhue in the next 20 to 30 minutes. I want to explain what that means. When I say puts it, that's the strongest portion of the storm, not the overall storm. The overall storm is in advance of that. There's already thunder, lightning, and some blinding heavy rain. But when I say it, I'm talking about what we call the skit, or meteorologists sometimes call the centroids. That's what these are. The storm cellular IDs, that's what these are. And these are all advancing. If I were to track these all in one continuous line from each one of these signatures off to the north and to the northeast at around 30 miles per hour, you get the idea. See, it almost gives you the exact same locations. Welsh in 2 minutes, Goodhue in 22 minutes, as this line of strong storms advances across parts of Dakota and Goodhue counties. There's still plenty of very strong, dangerous, severe thunderstorms here in parts of Goodhue County. And I know our own Courtney Godfrey is live in our Fox 9 chase vehicle. Some of us liken to call it Dorothy. Some of us call it the Beast. It's somewhere in between, a lot like me. Courtney, where are you? Where are you headed, and what do you got?
Well, Ian, we're trying to head southeast because we've been in the southwest metro for most of the evening, and it feels like the storm, as you've mentioned, has been moving out of that area. So we're really just looking for storm damage at this point. We were in Bloomington where, you know, we saw downed trees. We saw a 30-foot tall tree down in the middle of the road, blocking the road. We saw a flooded freeway on 494. We were heading south on 77, right around Cedar Avenue, south of the Mall of America. You know, still just a lot of heavy rain. We are seeing a lot of state patrol on the road, and I believe that's because of flooding on the interstates. But right now, it's just steady rain. The hail has passed, the heavy wind has passed, and now we're just dealing with steady rain.
All right, thanks, Courtney. Yeah, this is going to be rain for some time tonight. Even though we're finishing, not done, but finishing for parts of the Loop Metro and areas west, even though we're finishing with the severity of the storms as they continue to advance to the east, we'll be dealing with rain throughout the evening here into the wee morning hours. It's some incredible video from the new Fox 9 storm chase vehicle, but you get the idea. Traffic isn't exactly clipping along because the rain is so heavy.
Ian, you mentioned that area down along the St. Croix River. You mentioned Welch and some of that area, sort of a little bit in that Red Wing area down there as well. That's bluff country down there. And when they get the heavy rains, that's my question to you is that one of those areas that's going to get that 1 inch, 2 inch rapid rainfall? Because if it is, those are the areas that have those ditch and gullies that can bring very fast water very quickly down some of those hills and valleys. Yeah, and we're absolutely there from Dakota all the way down into Red Wing County. We're there with rainfall rates of an inch, inch and a half per hour, and that's where I was. But a moment ago here, Randy. Let me, and it's a great question. So let me zoom in to parts of Goodhue County, because as we're working here across the St. Croix River Valley, as we're working here across the parts of the Mississippi River Valley and parts of northern Goodhue County, those colors I was talking about to you earlier, those colors, see, there's the core of this storm. Those colors indicate an inch and a half plus
rainfall rates per hour. Now, obviously, these aren't going to sit right here for the next hour, but even if they advance slowly, we'll talk about inordinately heavy rains into bluff country, as you pointed out, working here toward Red Wing, working into the Mississippi River Valley. Then if we just slide this a little further to the north, working across the St. Croix River Valley. Do you notice a trend here? The white showing up in parts of Goodhue County, the white now showing up in parts of Chisago, Polk, and St. Croix County. So all along this region, we're going to find all of those really deep Doppler signatures signifying some incredibly heavy rain and also the possibility of some very large hailstones. Jennifer McDermond's been with me all night long here in the Weather Center. Done a great job of pinpointing where the straight line winds were by looking inside these storms. Jennifer, what have you got for us right now?
Just a few reports of flooding reports. Currently, Target Field. There's also stalled or submerged vehicles in areas of 28th and Lindell Ave. There's also stalled or submerged vehicles at 78th Street West and Gleason Road in Edina, as well as 38th Avenue South and 42nd Street East Minneapolis. So not only are we concerned about the wind and the severe storms and the tornadoes, but the flooding is obviously an issue. So if you can't see the street in front of you, do not drive in it. There are numerous reports of stalled and submerged vehicles around the Twin Cities metro, and this rain is going to continue for the next few hours. So we can only, think that the flooding could be an issue for the next few hours as well.
Yeah, and it's our local suspects, if you will. These are areas that constantly flood when we get rains like this. So, local knowledge is uber important when it comes to driving around in the heavy rain. My best advice is downtown Minneapolis all the way to downtown St. Paul and areas north and south. Just Tapper Cool if you don't have to travel, at least in the near future, next hour or two. It's probably best not to. Think of everyone leaving Target Field. I will tell you this, the Twins aren't going to get their game in tonight, so they're going to dismiss everybody. The rain's going to continue. Look, it goes all the way back into Meeker and McLeod counties. That is still yet to come through the metro. What I mentioned earlier, when you look at the map here, see the flashing yellow county severe thunderstorm warnings? Notice how these storms have advanced halfway through that warning. At this point, in the next 5 or 10 minutes, that warning is now going to jump. As the storms, and more importantly, the storms and the straight line winds that are involved here in these storms, there's the line of possible straight line winds advancing with these storms now to the east of the St. Croix River Valley. I want to tell you, sometimes when we're at the fair, people in western Wisconsin will say, we're living in western Wisconsin and you stopped your coverage. We're not going to do that. We're going to stay with you here as these severe storms and straight line winds at 60 to 70 plus miles per hour continue to advance off toward the east. We had Bab Santos down in Jordan. We had Courtney Godfrey leaving areas like Bloomington. Heard from Keith Marler in Maple Grove. Tried to get Cody Matz on the phone in Burnsville. I say try because it's Cody. So go ahead, Kelsey.
A couple more updates for you, too. A lot of tree branches down in Edina, and one of our reporters, Rose, also has some pictures of a tree on a home there. So we know those strong winds came through there. A lot of the water on Allianz Field tonight as it continues to rain and rain and rain. And we know we have some video, too, of some of that flooding on 494 that we'll try to bring back here. But what do you see, Ian, as this goes into the overnight hours, the future of this storm?
Well, I would say to you in the next 90 to 120 minutes. So in the next 2 hours, the serious line of storms, the most severe part of these storms, will be out of the Fox 9 viewing area, rolling, say, east of a line from Hayward down all the way to Eau Claire. It should be east of that in the next 2 hours. But in the near term, it is all about northwest, west, and southwest Wisconsin, as well as southeastern portions of Minnesota. That's the beast driving along, working off into these storms here, moving from Bloomington all the way to the Mississippi River Valley. What I did here is pick up the core of that line of storms advancing off to the northeast. This is in Chisago, Polk, and St. Croix counties. So you've got it into Somerset, Wisconsin in a minute into, it's the greatest name ever. If I had a band, I'd call it Kinnickinnick. Kinnickinnick in the next 4 minutes, Black Brook in the next 29 minutes. Again, the storm advances with the rain, the thunder, the lightning, intense rain, but it also advances with the possibility embedded therein of straight line winds at 60 to 70 plus miles per hour. So let's move you up and down this line as we continue to monitor things. So from Chisago down to Dakota, Goodhue, and Pierce counties. And that core that we've been talking about, that Randy, you asked about with the heavy rain, here's that core. And you notice along that core, just to the west of Red Wing, just to the west of Goodhue, there are spinning tornado vortex signatures. And those are what we're going to track here in the next minute, because Goodhue County, and I'll tell you, as you get closer to the Mississippi River Valley, and Randy, you know this, first of all, it's night. Can't see the storms. Intense thunder, lightning, and rain. And secondly, there's hills and bluffs for you to try and see around and through, and it doesn't generally work. So those are two storm cells right in the middle of this line as it advances off to the northeast. There, the Doppler's telling me it's moving to the northeast at around 19 miles per hour. When we look at this, and it's important to note when you look at this, see, that's the tracking fan that I just extended from the Doppler, but it has three different segments here that breaks it down into a half an hour, 10, 20, and 30 minutes. Into Harless here in the next 14 minutes. And as I track the southern cell that is now just off to the west of Goodhue, there you go, Doppler moving it to the east-northeast at around 18 miles per hour. Into Claybank in the next 20 minutes, into Featherstone in the next 29 minutes, moving just to the north of Goodhue as it moves forward at around 35 miles per hour. Go ahead, Jennifer McDermed in the Weather Center.
I just want to take a quick look at weather too right now as we still continue to look at velocity. These storms, they're moving over into areas of Wisconsin, and that's where we have the strongest of the winds right now. We can be expecting winds up to 60 to 70 miles an hour moving towards Grantsburg, moving towards areas just to the east of St. Croix Falls, to the east of Osceola, to the east of New Richmond, down towards Baldwin. So these strong winds are continuing to stay extremely strong as we move further into this evening, as well as these storms move further over into areas of Wisconsin. The strongest right now, just leaving New Richmond, just leaving Star Prairie, just leaving Roberts, and moving over towards areas in Baldwin. And that's why these storms are still severe. But whether they're tornadic or not, these winds are extremely dangerous and destructive. And you do want to seek shelter. You do want to find the lowest layer of the building that you're in. You want to find an interior room with no windows, because these winds have had a history of being up to 70 to 80 miles an hour, as well as producing quite a bit of damage, down power lines, down large trees, destructions to sheds. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, and you've been compiling that list. It's going to be volumetric.
So western Wisconsin, not out of the clear right now.
Let's go back to Weather One. Thank you, Jennifer. Looking inside the storm. I want to go back to Weather One for our control room, because I want to give you an idea of what Jennifer was just talking about. And it's really important. And that's one thing that Jennifer's been doing all night long, is looking inside the storm. This is what you're used to seeing. You're used to seeing radar. Radar showing you where the rain or the snow is, where the lightning is. But what we've been doing all night is we've been using a Doppler scope so that we can look inside all of this. Now, what you're looking at here is not radar. This is Doppler velocity. And to give you an idea here, when you look at this red, that red is the velocity. So Doppler is, and I've mentioned this, Randy, you've seen me do this many times. Doppler is if you're standing on the highway and a motorcycle goes ripping by, it changes pitch. It goes, and that pitch change is Doppler. So what Doppler radar is able to do is look at the change as things move toward the radar side and away from the radar side. Everywhere that is in red right here are all of the raindrops, all of the hail, all of the hydrometeors, as we call them, moving away from the radar site. So Jennifer was outlining that line. That's where the strongest winds embedded in this storm would be. So you start to look now, we're all the way east of the St. Croix River Valley. We're halfway here through Goodhue County, and these strong winds at 60 plus miles per hour will continue to move off to the east. Now I clear everything and you get the idea. Let me put that line back on the map. Generally where I was, right about there. And if you notice, that's where we find the gold little squares here. Those are the meso, the spin-ups in the heart of the storm, and the tornado vortex signatures also spinning here in parts of Goodhue County. All along that line of hydrometeors, of strong wind here that is racing off to the east, now into parts of west central and northwestern Wisconsin, now into parts of southeastern Minnesota, and continuing to track here off to the east. Now, I mentioned this earlier, and one of the reasons we have localized flooding isn't just because of the heavy rain. That's one of the reasons. But these storms hit the metro, and it's like they put it in park and said, let's sit for a while. That's why we had tornado warnings, 4 for the heart of the metro all at once, on top of severe thunderstorm warnings. So we had the wind-based tornado warnings, and then the severe thunderstorm warnings for large hail and some very, very heavy rain. The rain is still with us. The rain's not going anywhere anytime soon. And the strong storms are now here crossing with a new tornado warning just issued for Goodhue, Pepin, and Pierce. And you see that flashing in black? That's all a part of that storm that I was talking about and tracking in parts of northeastern Goodhue County. So let's take you down and talk about it. This is the latest tornado warning, Goodhue, Pepin, and Pierce counties. This does include the city of Red Wing. It does not include the city of Goodhue, but notice how it stretches along the Mississippi River Valley and then pushes over into parts of Wisconsin, into Pepin and Pierce County. So a very strong, a very dangerous storm for parts of northeastern Goodhue County, for very small parts of Pepin and Pierce counties. That tornado warning in place until 10 p.m. and right now it does include the city of Red Wing, and more importantly, the city of Red Wing is where we find the strongest core. See that bright white? That is the strongest core as it advances toward Maiden Rock, Lake City, and here all along, and I'll outline it for you. There's the Mississippi right there. So you've got some time before these storms reach here and move over into Pepin and Pierce counties. So this is fully northeastern portions of Goodhue County, including the city of Red Wing, with a tornado warning in place until 10 p.m. Randy, again, your neck of the woods.
Some of those areas down there along the river, you pointed out Maiden Rock, but you also have like Bay City, you've got Stockholm. Those are those little hamlets that people pass through along the Mississippi River when they're taking that 35 route down there, that scenic route. Go over there, yep, right in that area there. And those are the smaller areas that we're talking about along the Mississippi River. On the Wisconsin side, of course, Wabasha is on the Minnesota side. But if you look at Wabasha there on your map and you go northwest from there toward Lake City, you'll see all those little towns that poke along but they're right at the base of those bluffs. And that's where you talked about some of that heavy rain coming down and now the strong winds.
Okay, so right now I said Red Wing is involved in this tornado warning. There's the latest. Remember, we talk about a mesocyclone signature, degree of spin in the atmosphere. That means a Doppler unit is locked onto it. There it is over the next 30 minutes into the city of Red Wing in the next 10 minutes. If you're in the city of Red Wing or around the city of Red Wing, and man, it's, you know, the bluffs and the winding roads and the cliffs. If you are in that area, this is where we want you to put your personal storm plan into effect, away from the windows, the innermost room of a house without windows. If you're in a condo, get to the interior apartment interior hallway and down to the lowest level. Low is safe. Anytime we talk about a tornado warning, low is safer. Nothing is completely safe. Red Wing, the strongest portion of this storm that is now a tornado vortex signature, spinning right here. The strongest portion of that storm working into Red Wing here in the next 10 minutes. Personal storm plan into effect for areas in and around Red Wing, areas of northeastern Goodhue County, and eventually here into parts of Pepin and Pierce counties. I can't emphasize this enough. Randy, you were just talking about it as well. Track the cell that's moving from Goodhue County, from Goodhue itself, back into the heart of this tornado warning, puts it into Claybank in 8 minutes, Hay Creek in 21 minutes. And again, when I say puts it, the storm is already there. These are the twisting, turning portions of the storm where we've got tornado vortex signatures. It does not, I can't emphasize this enough, it does not mean there's a tornado on the ground. It means there is enough spin at various levels of this storm. The Doppler is saying, we got to be careful. We got to keep an eye on this. We've got to look at this. So Doppler indicated tornado warning. There's where the tracks are heading, off to the northeast at around 30 miles per hour into Claybank and Hay Creek, all in the next 20 minutes. So a very strong, powerful storm here in parts of northeastern Goodhue County. Kelsey, you got something?
Yeah, Ian, we're getting a lot of reports of people driving through those floodwaters too. We're seeing it on 494 in Richfield, and also there are reports of at least one vehicle stuck in flooded water near the mall Mall of America, and we're seeing flooding inside the Mall of America transit station because so much rain came down so quickly.
Sure.
So I want to remind people just how dangerous that is to be doing that. And it's dark as well, which makes it, you just can't tell how much water's on the road in some places.
No, and it's you know, as I mentioned earlier, it's the usual suspects. Those areas that flood every single time, and then people say, why is it flooding? And we say, well, it always floods there. And that's a perfect example. You know, people tend to speed up when they go down flooded roads as well. And it creates such a massive problem. It's like a boat speeding through a marina. You've got a wake, you've got damage, you've got problems. So again, the tornado warning in place for Goodhue, Pepin, and Pierce counties. If you're in downtown Red Wing, surrounding Red Wing, personal storm plan into effect. Let me shift you a little further off to the north. Fair warning, we're going to go to Rose in about 30 seconds. And let me just cover these severe thunderstorm warnings as we're on the air. I'm looking over at Randy and Kelsey, and there's this big boom of thunder right now. That's a good reminder. We're done with the severe weather. We're in Eden Prairie, by the way. That's where the Twin Cities Broadcast Center is. We're in Eden Prairie, so we're in the Southwest Metro. We're done with the severe weather from downtown Minneapolis to the west, including Eden Prairie. We're not done with the big booms and the continuation of rain as we work through the next 5 or 6 hours. So Rose, I don't know where Rose is, but I'm going to send things. Oh, there she's on the screen. Rose, tell me where you are and what you see.
Yeah, hi Ian. We are in a neighborhood in Edina right now, and basically what we've seen is a lot of debris all over the roads. We've seen trees and branches down in the roadways, on a lot of people's yards. At one point we saw a house where there was a tree actually that partially collapsed. Oh, I don't know if you can see that out the window, but there's a lot of thunder and lightning going on right now. So we are in a parked car right now, so I want to tell you we are safe. But there's a lot of flashing lights going on from the just from the lightning that we've been seeing. And it is still raining pretty heavily out here. We haven't seen anything that's really all that concerning so far, except for the house where you pulled up my picture. So now you can see, that's actually, you can see there's a house, the tree branches kind of covering the house on that side. And there's just branches and debris scattered all over the yard. And I think, that's kind of the picture, Oliver, that we've seen in this particular neighborhood. And I think, it's still continuing to rain out here. So if you are driving out there right now, or if you're, I would say just try to stay safe if you can.
I think what we're seeing from you, Rose, has probably happened in many parts of our viewing area tonight. Ian mentioned those high winds. They come in fast. They come in very strong. At some points, they were between 70 and 80 miles an hour. So any of those trees that were either saturated at the root base from previous rains or just in the path of those strong winds are likely going to cause trouble.
Yeah, in the darkness, too, we may see these reports of damage come in a little bit slower.
Oh, yeah,
but
for sure.
I mean, so far, we're not hearing a lot, which is pretty remarkable for the wind speeds that we were seeing from 7:30 on. But we do know that power outages are quickly ticking up there. We're close to about 80,000 customers right now. So good reminder for people, you can still watch us on your phones, on your laptop, fox9.com/live to stay with the latest information as this storm continues to move.
Okay, so there's a couple of things there. When you look, I mean, when we had Taylor's Falls the other day, we had straight line winds again tonight. You notice it's some very big trees that have come down. Look, it has been inordinately wet for the past 5 weeks. A lot of those big trees, even though they got massive roots, they're kind of hanging on to muck and mud and silt. They don't have a lot to hang on to. If there is a saving grace for this time of year, and as late as our onset of spring has been, if there is a saving grace, it's that a lot of trees have not fully leafed yet. Fully leafed trees in straight line winds are like sails, and they all go down. So I hate to say we got lucky, because there's going to be a lot of people waking up tomorrow morning going, what do you mean we got lucky? Look at this mess. But I think it could have been a lot worse had straight line winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour come across the metro in another month or two.
Yeah. Also working down south, this is how they used to describe it before hurricanes, is if you had a particularly rainy season, it's like the trees were sitting in pancake batter.
Yeah.
Just ready
to
just tip over.
Here's the latest severe thunderstorm warning, and it's going to continue. It has skipped a little bit further off to the east. Again, parts of Chisago, Polk, and St. Croix counties, plenty of spin. And this is something we started talking about earlier today. As meteorologists, sometimes we throw out these words because there's no other way to say it. But this is something we call a QLCS, a quasi-linear convective system. And basically what it means is a elongated system that continues to roll all at once, a bunch of congealed storms together, creating spin for the possibility of brief tornadoes, but more likely straight line winds. And that's exactly what we had tonight. So even still, all along this line through this latest severe thunderstorm warning for Chisago, Polk, and St. Croix counties, those straight line winds are still rolling here toward areas, Cabin Country, Rice Lake, Pokegama, Hayward, all the way down to Eau Claire. Remember I said earlier, from Hayward to Eau Claire, that'll be our line. Once these clear that line here in about 90 minutes, then it is all about rain. I noticed Jennifer's got something for us in the Weather Center. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, if we can go ahead and take a look at weather 2, I want to show you where that severe thunderstorm warning that is currently moving over into areas of Wisconsin, the strongest of the winds up to 70 to 80 miles an hour radar indicated, just now leaving areas like Clear Lake as well as Forest, moving towards Clayton, Turtle Lake, Glenwood City, moving towards Wilson. And we've been talking about, Ian was mentioning the straight line winds along with the QLCS. And sometimes within the QLCS, with the straight line winds, we can see little notches within our radar. So right now we're taking a look at velocity, which is dissecting the storm and taking a look at the different winds within this severe thunderstorm warning. But if you look along areas of Highway 12, just to the east of Baldwin, if you look towards areas near Spring Valley, you can see these little notches. And they're very short-lived typically within this kind of storm setup. But that is where we can sometimes be expecting brief tornado spin-ups. And they're going to happen so fast, and it's happening at nighttime. So do not go outside and try and look at these because you're not going to see anything. But typically within these kind of storms with the straight line winds, that is where we have some little notches embedded along the line.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at this.
These strong winds.
Suddenly you've got some wind here. That's the green. So there's the map and what Jennifer's looking at with the velocity. See this green that's shooting in? This is the wind, the red area represent winds racing off to the east. This little green area here represents wind trying to work back toward that. So it kind of hits it and shoots up. So as Jennifer's pointing out here, you get these little notches where the wind hits and sort of begins a little twist. It hits and begins a little twist, which is what we're talking about, these little brief spin-ups. And those are those little notches, and Jennifer's been pointing about all night, and it's been great. And this is something, you know, when you deal with straight line winds, this is something that we need to do. And I know you're not used to seeing this type of thing because, look, on the outside of the scope, that's rain. There's Hastings, there's the rain. There's Hudson, there's the rain. On the inside of the scope, this is the rain being measured by the Doppler radar, and this is the rain racing here. The red color represents it working off away from the Doppler site, away from the metro, and now it's hitting hitting this. And now it's hitting some inbound winds that are depicted here in the green. You notice where, and Jennifer, this is really cool. See, we've got some brighter green here mixed in with the red, and you've got the same down here to the south. Those are some decent little inflow notches. That's the brief spin-ups that create the tornado vortex signatures.
Right, and so in the morning, hopefully not, but unfortunately, we may find some damage caused by very short-lived brief tornadoes within this line of very strong severe thunderstorms. And so even though it may not be a tornado warning, it's a severe thunderstorm warning, the straight line winds and the potential for these brief tornadoes creates a very dangerous scenario, especially at this time of the night, because you can't see anything. So areas in western Wisconsin, we really got to keep a close eye on areas to the east of Red Wing, to the east of Ellsworth, towards Baldwin, towards areas near Hay River even.
Yeah, we've crossed over the Mississippi. Okay, yeah, great information. Thank you, Jennifer. Great job all night looking inside the storms using something you're not probably used to seeing with our Doppler Velocity scope. So from Storm Vision on Weather 2, Control Room, I'd love to come back to Weather 1. Thank you. We're already there. I know Randy and Kelsey, you know, you've been getting the reports of power outages. You've been getting reports of wind damage. You've been getting reports of flooding. It's all hands on deck. There's an awful lot going on tonight.
Yeah, there's, I think last count now, 73,000 people out of power. 77,
yes,
just got an
close to
update, 77,000. We're also getting reports, Ian, so you mentioned that area right there, the Baldwin area and just to the east over in that's all farm country out there. So those are some of those areas where when those strong winds come through, we will typically see the farm buildings that get affected by that. There are no crops yet, obviously, but that is flat ground out there in some of those areas along I-94 to the east, and that is the area where those small farms get affected when those strong winds roll through.
Yeah, I want to just focus quickly, if you will, on the tornado warning that is still in place for parts of Goodhue, Pepin, and Pierce. And when I say parts, about 10 minutes ago, we had the tornado warning that was in place for Goodhue that included the city of Red Wing. That is now moved over as this core continues to shift. Now that core moving toward, as you mentioned earlier, Randy, Maiden Rock, Lake City, and then into Pepin and Pierce counties. This is a very small area here, a very compact area, but there's enough spin with these tornado vortex signatures. You see them all over the map right here. There is enough spin that as this storm continues to advance, a decent possibility of straight line winds also in and around that particular area. And as Jennifer did earlier, I'm going to use the scope on this to give you a much better idea. So look, as you look at the scope, and we talked about this earlier, there's the line, the outflow, if you will, of the storm, all pushing off here, off to the east. That's what the red represents. But where it hits up against winds here that are coming out of the east, that's what the green represents. You end up with, and I mentioned this earlier, it's a hit and spin. It's a hit and spin. So you end up with these little tiny areas where we find these hit and spins. And as Jennifer pointed out, tomorrow in the light of day, you may see, you know, sort of 3 or 4 fields worth of freshly planted seeds or corn or something just kind of whip down. And people will say, well, that's it. That's where we had a very brief EF0 tornado touchdown. I'm not saying that's happening. That is what this can indicate, though, as we work our way through this evening, and that's going to continue as this severe thunderstorm warning down in Wabasha and this tornado warning for parts of Goodhue, Pepin, and Pierce continue to race off to the east, upwards of 35 miles per hour. I want to take you a little further out and deal with what's happening just to the east of the metro as we work across the St. Croix River Valley. And I don't want to forget about the metro, because you'll hear a boom of thunder and lightning, and you'll think to yourself, well, wait a minute. Leonard said we were done with this. And really, now from downtown St. Paul, all areas to the west, I'm going to do it. I'll tell you, it's all clear. Downtown St. Paul, all areas west. North, south from downtown St. Paul, all areas west, all clear. You're going to hear a boom of thunder every once in a while. We'll continue with the lightning, and we will continue with the heavy rain. But we are finished with the severe threat scenario. Downtown St. Paul, all areas off to the west. Our own Courtney Godfrey is in our severe weather cruiser tonight. She was in Bloomington. So Courtney, I want to get things back out to you in the field. Tell me where you are now.
Yeah, Ian, I just had to take a break to wipe our camera off, so never say that I didn't work hard on getting you the perfect shot. We're here along Highway 77 in Bloomington, right by the Mall of America, and what you're looking at is a flooded Highway 77. In just a mile stretch, we've seen 3 areas of the highway that are flooded off on the far outside lane, in the slow lane. You can see Highway Patrol, you can see MnDOT crews working to clear this area. We saw one individual who was on the frontage road who got stuck, who was trying to push his car out of a flooded area, so obviously got in a situation that was too much for him. And then we're also, if the camera can pan back, there's a tow truck trying to get a minivan out of that flooding. And this is something that we've seen throughout the metro as we drive around tonight. We saw this on 494, some flooding. Our emergency crews working hard tonight to get these areas cleared and to, more importantly, warn drivers that this is ahead of you as you're driving. So anyone who is driving tonight who has to hit the road, I mean, I recommend that you don't, but if you have to slow down and be extremely aware, because the State Patrol, MnDOT, can't be at all these locations. They're trying to keep up with all the reports of flooding, but they can't be everywhere. So you really have to slow down and pay attention, because these areas of deep water can come up on you very quickly, and we've seen cars that are getting stuck, Ian.
Yeah, and Courtney, we also have a picture, if we can pull this up, of the Metro Transit Station at the Mall of America, also flooded. And there's a MnDOT worker trying to clear a storm drain. You know, they're working as quickly as they possibly can, but, you know, we need people to be really careful out there.
Yeah. No, and it's great. It's great information from Highway 77, and that's an important note. We're not talking about a side road here. We're talking about a highway where people are going to clip between 50 and 60 miles per hour, and they're running along, and all of a sudden there's a flooded bit, and as Courtney said, and then they move along, and then there's 3 flooded areas of Highway 77 near the Mall of America, the train station, the light rail station at Mall of America flooded. We're going to hear an awful lot about localized flooding. Now, with that in play, there is still a tornado warning in place here for parts of extreme northeastern Goodhue County into a little sliver of Pepin and Pierce counties as it gets set to cross the Mississippi. Heavy rain still from the metro, an occasional boom of thunder, a little lightning out there still, yes. But as you might have heard me talking off camera, I was talking to our the vice president of news here at Fox 9, and we were trying to make sure that that when I say that people understand and hear. From downtown St. Paul, all areas to the west, that includes north, south, all areas west of downtown St. Paul, you are in the clear for severe weather. You will continue with the thunder, the lightning, an occasional big boom, and of course the rain heavy at times over the next few hours. But the severe weather threat continues to shift here off to the east. And as I say that, what's really important to note, let me just shift you down. Notice the severe thunderstorm warnings that we've been tracking here for Chisago, Polk, and St. Croix. Those have been allowed to expire. They have not been reissued as of yet. So let's slide down to our active warnings. It is a severe thunderstorm warning for this little sliver of northwestern Wabasha County and a little sliver of northeastern Goodhue County, both in place until 10 p.m. And with that Goodhue County tornado warning, I want to tell you, this core is still very active. And this is the color we talked about through the entire night. That bright white color, when you see the Doppler beam sweep through and it gets that almost vicious purpley color, those are 1.5 inch rainfall rates. They also represent the possibility, more likely in this case, the probability of some large hail suspended in this storm. And really the threat for Goodhue County, the northeastern portion of Goodhue County, will continue to be the possibility of straight line winds. This is something we've been talking about all night. This isn't what you're used to seeing. This isn't like the radar that we give you on the Fox 9 weather app or that you're used to seeing on the air. If you look here off to the north, there's the radar. That's rainfall. This is what we call Doppler velocity. Everywhere that's red indicates that we have moisture, hydrometeors moving here off to the east. Everywhere that is green, see from Lake City coming up toward Maiden Rock and then bending back toward Durant, that is wind that is coming toward the Doppler unit here out of the east. So as these two come together, we'll find an occasional little notch, like right here near Maiden Rock, where the winds come together and they meet and they twist. And that's where we end up with a Doppler indicated tornado warning, and that's what we have here. This is just one of the amazing tools that meteorologists have to use now that we didn't have in the 70s and the 80s. And I say we because I am that old. Randy, you know that feeling.
I do know that feeling. One thing to note while you continue to talk there, Ian, you're talking about an area that is exactly on top of the widest part of the Mississippi River down there at Lake Pepin. That's where those winds you talked about are going to converge, right there on that expanse. It's about 2 miles wide or wider across that expanse of the Mississippi River. So whatever those two do there, they're going to hit a very flat body of water before they hit those bluffs on the Wisconsin side. Yeah, and I mean, this is your neck of the woods, and you know, I drive by it once or twice a year. You live and I mean, you own this area. This is absolutely right. And again, with the bluffs that you mentioned earlier, such an important note. It is nightfall. It is a tornado warned storm, a Doppler indicated tornado warned storm. But once you get into the bluffs and the hills and the clouds and the thunder and the lightning and the rain, you're not going to be able to see any of this coming toward you. And it has been the case all night long when we talked about straight line winds racing across the greater metro, 60 to 80 miles per hour. Winds in Eden Prairie of 67 miles per hour, winds in Shakopee of 78 miles per hour. Those are EF0 tornado-like winds. Those are damaging strong winds, and that's exactly what we're finding here as this line of storms continues to move. Now, important to note also that to the north, and I want to make sure that I look before I say anything, but we did have the severe thunderstorm warnings for Chisago,
Polk, and St. Croix counties. They had expired. They are still expired. There's one little lone severe thunderstorm warning here right down toward Albert Lee, and that is a severe thunderstorm warning for Freeborn County until 10:15. So you get the idea. This area here off to the south, this is where we still have plenty of very ripe, raw atmospheric fuel. It is still very warm. It is still very humid. But as we were talking to Courtney Godfrey earlier, she said in the storm tracking vehicle that we sent her out from Fox 9 that the temperature dropped 10 degrees in an hour. I guarantee you it has dropped some more since we last talked to her, because rain, when it falls, creates something called evaporative cooling. It steals heat from the air. It can only go so far. It can only drop down to the dew point, but it is much cooler here, and it is much more stable there. As I mentioned, that there you've got it, the Fox 9 storm tracking beast, or as we like to call it, Dorothy. We haven't officially named it, but there it is, racing along the streets with the rain, heavy at times. I'm not sure if Courtney can hear. Courtney, can you hear me right now? I'm not sure if Courtney can hear. Courtney, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here, Ian.
Where are you?
Okay, so we're still in Bloomington. We're heading towards Lyndale and Minneapolis to check out some submerged vehicles that we've heard about over there. You know, we want to try and give you guys the best image that we possibly can of different areas of the metro. So we're driving around. We were just on Highway 77, but we're right by the Mall of America. Right now what we're dealing with is steady rain and lots of lightning, and I mean big lightning and thunder. But what drivers are dealing with is tons of flooding on the highways, not side streets, well, side streets too, but we're talking the highways. So MnDOT and Highway Patrol are out trying to clear those areas. We've seen MnDOT crews trying to clear drains and get that water cleared, but lots of stalled vehicles, cars that have gotten themselves stuck in very deep water.
Thanks, Courtney. You know, it's great information. Local knowledge is key in this particular situation. We have the reports of Lyndale, downtown Minneapolis, plenty of submerged vehicles. I mean, think about the horror of that. The submerged vehicle is just like, oh. Now look, here's Storm Vision. And while Courtney was on, I raced back into the Weather Center because I wanted to make sure I could verify this. But as you look here, there is a new little line of storms. And remember what I just talked about, how this area that I have circled is ripe for redevelopment or new development, because if you will, this would be like a forest, and the fire has gone through. There is little to no fuel left to consume to keep these storms firing. Here to the south, we haven't had any storms. It is still very warm. It is still very humid. We have winds here working out of the west. We have winds here working out of the east-southeast. So this becomes a decent convergence zone for new storms to fire, because this is a forest that hasn't had any flames yet, if you will. I know, a rather loose analogy. So as these storms continue to roll across I-35 into areas like Rochester, eventually into Mower County, and then off toward La Crosse, this is going to be an area of concern for storm development over the next 60 to 90 minutes. And of course, all of the storms continuing to roll with this little tiny finger of a tornado warning still for Goodhue, Pepin, and Pierce County. So that is set to expire at 10 p.m. By the way, fair notice here, it has been a very active weather night. What we're going to do at 10 p.m. is we're going to take you all around the region with our reporters, with our tracking vehicles, with all of our technology. We want to be able to show you what has happened as the storms came in, once the storms left, and what we can, now that the light of day is faded, with the damage reports all over the metro. So that happens right at 10 p.m. If you've got some pictures that we need to see, or we can take care of that, we certainly would love to see it. But there it is, the tornado warning for parts of northeastern Goodhue County, Pepin, and Pierce counties. So another night to stay sky aware off to our south and our southeast. Randy, it's going to be a roundup of epic proportions when it comes about storm totals, storm damage, and storm reports on the Fox 9 News at 10.
Yeah, you mentioned some of those images, Ian. I want to take our folks back to a little bit earlier this evening. Now we're starting to get some of those images in from around the metro area with our crews. Rose Schmidt was in Edina earlier tonight before the sun did set. And this was that first sweep that came through the metro. Again, this is Edina. And there was a lot of water, which meant those straight line winds were able to take some trees down. This on a home in Edina, a rather large branch from most of the trunk of a tree there on the side of the house. You can see that.
Yeah, and Rose reporting a lot of power outages in Edina as well. The lights are out there at Valley View Road, and we know that it's pretty dark along certain sections of Highway 100, so it's really not a great idea to be out at all because some of the stores don't have power. You can't see how much water is on some of the roadways, and we have a number of stalled vehicles in Minneapolis and over by the Mall of America that have tried to go through those floodwaters. I think we have a few more pictures to show you. Even down in Mankato, I know we also had some storm damage down there.
Kind of where it all started, really.
Taken off the roof there. And just as Ian had said earlier this evening, at right around 7:30 is when we're going to see all of this start. And that's when that long line of storms started to roll through, and it is continuing to move eastward right now. But we may not know the full scope of this until we see the light of day because of all the damage.
And Kelsey, you mentioned the storm outages from power outages from the storm. 74,000 right now in the greater metro area, and crews are out. XL crews are out where they can. Obviously, they can't work until some of those storms and those high winds clear, but they're going to be out trying to get ahead of some of those power outages. There are folks, as Ian often warns, that when we have a storm like this, you will lose your power. So make sure you're hooked into the Fox 9 weather app or streaming us on your laptop or something, because this was a storm that stayed intense and it stayed on us for quite a long time.
Yeah, I had 30 seconds just now to go look at my phone, and even some of our professional storm chasers sheltered in place tonight as the storms came through. They were that intense, and this is something we were talking about with winds at almost 80 miles per hour in Shakopee, and people say, but that's not a tornado. And my reply was, it doesn't need to be when we talk about winds at 80 plus miles per hour rolling across the region. Straight line winds are going to be our primary damage component for these storms tonight. And the light of day tomorrow, I'm telling you, I think the storm reports will exponentially grow tomorrow as people get outside and go, what? Big tree down, lots of branches down, power poles down. And those are the types of reports we've had here for the better part of the last 3 hours. So the light of day is really going to be telling. And when you start to move around, so there's the last little respite, if you will, here of the tornado warning for Goodhue, Pepin, and Pierce. It is here. There's the core. It is slid now, or is sliding right across the Mississippi River into areas like Pepin and Pierce counties. Move you a little further to the north, and you get the idea. See, it's still a very straight line, but the wind reports are slowly beginning to drop. We will continue to talk about at least the perceived threat here of very strong winds, heavy rain, thunder, lightning, and the possibility of a tornado, but that is all now into west central and southern portions of Wisconsin and extreme southeastern portions of Minnesota. The metro, and I mentioned this earlier, important to say it, here it is. Let's move you everywhere over from downtown St. Paul. That, my friends, is it for the night in terms of severe weather. This has now become all about thunder, lightning, rain, and flood possibilities as we work through the next 60 minutes. Randy, Kelsey?
Yeah, it's a big one, Ian, and I think the thing that, as you can see from your radar right now, I'm going to check out, and Amy's going to sit in here for the 10 o'clock newscast, but that storm that is now headed into Wisconsin, that's the leading edge of what rolled through the Twin Cities starting at about 7 o'clock tonight. That's what our main focus is on. And as you pointed out earlier tonight, we will have downed trees, we will have damage, but the key tonight was to keep people safe, and hopefully we did that.
We talked about this earlier today, and when we do break into programming, we are very sensitive to the fact that we are breaking into programming. And tonight was one of those times when we end up with 4 tornado warnings across the metro, coupled with 5 severe thunderstorm warnings also on top of the metro. That it was important that we got on the air. It's what we do. It is about trying to keep you and your family ahead of the storm, to get you the information so that even people like my family, when my wife texted Jennifer earlier today and said, tell Ian, we're fine, we're in the basement, we're in the bathroom, it's really bad here. And that's a perfect example of what we do by getting here, staying on the air, and trying to keep you ahead of the storm with the information and tracking the storms as they move on through. So with that said, the storms are still in place. They are not severe storms. For the metro, it is all about rain, rumbles of thunder, and occasional lightning. The flood potential is still there well into the wee morning hours, but the severe threat has passed for the metro, and with this yellow line, all areas off to the west. For west central Wisconsin, northwestern Wisconsin, the storm threat is still very real, and off to southeastern portions of Minnesota. And, well, as I say that, a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for Buffalo and Wabasha counties. You see it flashing there is an extension of the tornado warning in Goodhue, Pepin, and Pierce counties. So a new severe thunderstorm warning off to the southeast. It has been a very active weather night. It will continue to be active in terms of watches, warnings, but more importantly, damage and damage reports. With that said, I'm going to take a breath, work to the Weather Center, continue to track the storms. Stick with us. We're going to show you storm damage, the likes of which a metro hasn't seen in many, many years, coming up right now on Fox 9 News at 10.
Dangerous storms rolling across Minnesota and Wisconsin, bringing heavy rain, hail, destructive wind gusts, and lightning.
It seems the worst of the storms have passed through the metro, and now we're getting a look at the aftermath. We're seeing street flooding across the metro, and this is a live look at 494 in Richfield. We're also seeing reports of flooding from Hutchinson to Brooklyn Park to West St. Paul, stalled vehicles, people who tried to go through some of those floodwaters.
And you can see just how bad it was. We've got some video here that we want to show you. Cars driving through some of that high water on 494 in Portland. State troopers dealing with submerged and disabled vehicles as we speak. All right, here's a look at the Metro Transit Station at the Mall of America. As you can see, those low areas flooded right now. They are underwater. And then over at Allianz Field in St. Paul, that water there just inundating the field. Minnesota United players, fans there were seeking some shelter. And that match, of course, still on hold.
Now, in the daylight, we could see a lot of the hail damage from earlier this evening before sunset. Just in the last couple of hours, a lot more hail hit the metro, battering our crews in Bloomington and causing a lot of power outages.
And then one of the most dramatic visuals that we're seeing right now tonight, widespread tree damage, trees of all sizes, branches down. We showed you just a minute ago, branches down on a home in an Edina neighborhood. They're also blocking roads, too, and taking down some power lines. And the latest numbers that we have, more than 83,000 homes and businesses are without power across the state. A big chunk of that, of course, at least 74,000 here in the metro through XL Energy. And those crews are out right now trying to restore the power. We are also hearing reports of damage, of course, caused by wind and lightning to homes, barns, and of course businesses as well.
And this storm is still moving. Ian is still tracking it as it goes into Wisconsin. Ian, we're thankful for the technology that does allow people some time and some warning. And we're thankful for you. I mean, you've had a huge area with multiple warnings and watches all at once, and you've been able to just very carefully and concisely explain what's happening on the ground.
Thank you. It's about the team, but thank you. I really appreciate that, Kelsey. It is one of those nights, and you know, when nights like this happen and we see the setup coming sometimes 2, 3, 4 days out, we get ready for it. And we're ready in terms of the type of damage that's coming and the severity of the damage that's coming. And you know, this morning it was Cody and Keith. This afternoon it was Jennifer and I well into this evening. And that's, you know, it's an important part of what we do. It is not quite finished yet. When you look at the severe thunderstorm warning here that has now moved over into Pepin and Buffalo and Wabasha County, important to note that the tornado warning that was issued for parts of Pepin and Goodhue County, that has been allowed to expire at 10 p.m. The storm is still very serious. And when you look down at the storm, right here, where you see those 3 gold boxes, and people have watched us all night long know that those gold boxes are the degree of spin contained where in the storm, but it's not verified through every level of the storm. What most folks might not realize is that the radar takes 5, and this is me acting, 5 scans at differing levels of a storm. When we see a tornado vortex signature, we're seeing verifications through those levels. When we see something like this with those little gold boxes, we're actually seeing a degree of spin contained in the storm. So let me take you down and talk a little bit about this storm. As it moves here with the severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Pepin County, just this little tiny sliver, it's what's left over from the tornado warning in parts of Goodhue County. So just that little sliver is still there. And then the new severe thunderstorm warning that is in place here just off to the east of where was the tornado warning. That's for parts of Buffalo and Wabasha County. And look, we're working here past 11:15. So this is almost, I mean, it's 10 o'clock right now. That's a severe thunderstorm warning that takes up one county, and it's in place until 11:15. And when I'm talking like this, it should let you know that I'm thinking to myself, isn't that interesting? Because general forward motion speed of most storms is around 30 miles per hour. Most counties around 30 miles wide. It's about an hour a county. What that tells me is this line of storms has done what it did earlier and basically put on the brakes and is just sitting here spinning and giving us plenty of rain. So for the Twin Cities Metro proper, it is more important that the severe threat is finished. The severe threat is over. It is all about thunder, lightning, and continued rain. We can all take a breath when it comes to severe weather. Be careful as you walk out of your house in case there's damage, either this evening, overnight, or at first light tomorrow morning. I'm going to get things over to Babs Santos now. Babs has been down in Jordan along Highway 169, the Minnesota River Valley, the better part of the night. Babs, you were the first to see the storms. We put you in a position there, and as the storms came over, I'm not going to lie to you, it was vicious, my friend.
Yeah, we're still next to 169 in Jordan here. At this point, the worst of the storm has passed us by. The rain has really come to an almost complete stop. But what we're still seeing is a lot of lightning. Maybe you'll even see some while you're with us here now. We're standing underneath some cover next to the road, and throughout the night, we've seen plenty of cars pulling off 169 and taking shelter beside us when the rain was really getting going and visibility was getting so low that they just couldn't continue on the road any longer. Again, right now you're looking at traffic on 169. This is a very open piece of land surrounding the highway, but for more than half an hour earlier tonight, during that tornado watch in this area, we couldn't see anything out here because of the amount of rain being dumped on us in a very short amount of time. So again, just not a night to be on the road. And if you are still in the way ahead of this storm, take it from us, you're going to want to get somewhere and hunker down somewhere safe. Back to you.
All right, Babs, thank you. We want to also check in with our Courtney Godfrey, who's been sort of our roving reporter tonight on the move. So, Courtney, tell us where you are right now and what you're seeing.
Yeah, we're in South Minneapolis, Amy. We're following reports of flooding and stalled vehicles. We've been focusing on trying to bring our viewers various pictures from across the metro all night. So we've been driving around. We started our night in the Southwest Metro. We started in Bloomington, where we saw pea-size hail, heavy rain, down trees. We saw a 30-foot down tree in the middle of the road, and some flooding. We just came from near the Mall of America, where Highway 77 was flooded, and there were several stalled vehicles. Highway Patrol and MnDOT crews out there trying to clear that flooding, trying to clear the drains. What we've run across a lot tonight, Amy, is just cars that are driving down the freeway. They're going too fast. They don't see the flooding in front of them. Their cars end up submerged and their vehicles stalled. So it's very dangerous out there tonight. And if you are driving, you need to take it slow, and you need to be aware that the roads can change in an instant, and that suddenly you could be fine and then you're in deep water. So you really need to slow down. But we've seen a lot of that, and obviously, like everyone said, a lot of down trees. But I think right now the flooding on the highways is the biggest concern, at least here in the metro where the storms have passed.
All right, and we see the traffic lights are working where you are, Courtney. In some spots it's pretty dark, so be careful out there. We'll check back with her in just a bit. Make sure to stay up to date with the latest on these weather alerts. This is imperative at times like this. We have the Fox 9 weather app, and it gives you the latest conditions and radar for your location, traffic updates, alerts, and much more. You can set it to wherever you are. So if you're traveling, you just set it to that area. So you can download it for free from the App Store or Google Play. And so we're still tracking this storm as it moves east.
That's right. And take that app with you downstairs. Grab your phone or your laptop. A lot of people are without power right now. Maybe have an extra charger on hand, one of those mobile chargers that you can bring with you, because if you do lose power, you're going to want to still stay connected. As Kelsey mentioned, Ian, the storm's still active right now.
Yeah, and, you know, these are the sorts of things that we talk about. I smirk because these as meteorologists and as the Fox 9 weather team and as Fox 9 news team has been telling you for years, there are ways to prepare for the storm, and you just mentioned most of them. And it's really important that if the power goes out and you want to use your cell phone to track the storms, talk to people, figure out what's going on in the world, you're going to need power. So, you know, that extra power source and everything else, all a part of your personal storm plan. Now, as you look here, over the last 6 hours, it has been incredibly busy. The tornado watch is beginning to edge in, but I'll tell you, the tornado threat has finished for the Twin Cities Metro. In terms of severe weather and severe weather chances, it is here off to the southeastern portions of Minnesota into southwest Wisconsin. It is here into west central Wisconsin and eventually here into northwestern Wisconsin. That is where the severe weather threat exists at this hour. But let me give you a better idea of the metro. So in the metro right now, thunder, lightning, and still some heavy rain, but you end up with this area here off to the west-southwest that is beginning to clear of rain. But in the last 20 minutes, see this little cell that's gone up near Belle Plaine? That green circle indicates that it is an identified storm. It doesn't mean anything other than that. But that storm will rumble through the metro, and that will continue over the next 4 or 5 hours. And there is simply no way to get away from it. But where you find the severe thunderstorm warnings, Pepin County, Buffalo, Wabasha County, that's it on the map right now. Now watch, let me show you the last 6 hours. Because the one thing you're going to notice is this whole thing is rotating and spinning off to the north. As that rotation continues, I want you to look here, off to the south and to the southeast. So as it rotates, it's like, I'm going to chew up all of this right here. All of this atmospheric fuel, it's going to chew it up and eat it. But then you get this one single little line here off to the southeast. That is an area where the fuel is yet unused. And that's where I would expect stronger storms to develop as we work through the next couple of hours. But for the metro, big rumbles, absolutely. Thunder, lightning, and more rain. Yes, more rain. I was just in the weather center with Jennifer, and she said there was a part of the metro that had over an inch of rain in 18 minutes. 13. It's like I'm at home. My wife, it's my wife. An inch of rain in 13 minutes. Think about that. You know, we were talking about this earlier, how an inordinate amount of rain can fall in a very short period of time, and there was a possibility that parts of the metro could have over 3 inches. I guarantee that happened, especially with some of the street flooding. So it is still a night to stay sky aware, make sure the family is safe, make sure the sump pumps are working, and wait for those rumbles to roll across the region as the severe weather risk now shifts here well out to the west and the northwest. And as I say that, get this new severe thunderstorm warning for parts of northern Wisconsin, Bayfield, Douglas, Sawyer, and Washburn. There you see it right there, and you notice it's sort of fanned out. When a storm warning itself fans out like that, it gives you an idea. This is specifically, see how it fans out, specifically talking about a straight line wind event in northern Wisconsin, in cabin country. You know people there, time to get on the phone and call them. Anywhere between Rice Lake, Hayward, all the way up to the lake. Give them a call and let them know there's severe weather rolling through. Molly, I'm sorry I didn't hear where you wanted me to go.
Just back over here to us.
Yeah. A lot going on in my head tonight. A lot of voices in my head. Yeah, back over to Amy and Kelsey.
I mean, air traffic control sometimes. You've been busy. I mean, you started talking about this last night. Yeah. And then all day today, you prepared all of us here in the newsroom for what was going to happen. And then in our early shows, you're talking about the timing of this. And then right around 7:30 is when we started to see it all start to roll in. So big line of storms still moving. We're still tracking, but we've got some flash flooding and other things that we need to monitor.
Absolutely,
here.
yeah. I mean, this now becomes an actual news event with the verifications of the damage report. So by all means.
And as this moves out, you'll be talking to us soon about tomorrow.
Yes, I will.
Coming.
We're back in the storm zone again late tomorrow night.
All right, we're going to look forward to that. We are going to take a quick break right now, but stay with us. Our continuing coverage of this severe weather continues. All right, taking a look at some of your news headlines now. A vote to enshrine abortion access into federal law falls short. Democrats in the split Senate lacked the votes to overcome a Republican-led filibuster. Now, the vote is likely to be the first of several efforts in Congress to preserve Roe v. Wade, following a Supreme Court leak last week indicating its impending reversal.
Consumer prices are still climbing rapidly, continuing the strain on your wallet. In April, a fallback in gas prices actually helped slow overall inflation. It was the first drop in 8 months, but since then, gas prices have surged to a record $4.40 a gallon on average. Grocery prices are still soaring too, in part because Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Food prices are up nearly 11% from a year ago. And airfares saw a record 18.6% increase in the last month, the largest monthly increase since record keeping began almost 60 years ago. One small silver lining, there are signs supply chains are improving a bit, with the prices for appliances, clothing, and used cars coming down. But that's where the good news ends. Economists predict inflation will likely remain high well into next year, and that is not sitting well with investors. All three major U.S. stock benchmarks closed lower, with the Dow booking a fifth straight day of losses. President Joe Biden is vowing to help farmers try to ease the spike in food prices. At a family farm in Illinois, Biden unrolled policies aiming to increase harvests and reduce your grocery bill.
I stand here today to thank American farmers who are the breadbasket of democracy. You really are. You know, we talk about, every investment banker could leave their job. If every farmer left, we'd all starve to death.
Biden's policies include doubling funding for fertilizer production, increasing access to farm management tools, and efforts to increase the number of counties eligible for double cropping insurance. That would help more farmers to reuse their land for planting in the same year.
All right, here in the metro, to the west of the metro, a lot of folks breathing a sigh of relief. Things have quieted way down, but we do still have an active system to our east. Ian, let's go to you now for the
Yeah, absolutely. And just in the Weather Center, looking at one of our tower cams downtown that is pointed at Target Field with the rain coming down and some vivid lightning just lighting up the sky, almost like paparazzi. Flash, flash, flash. And really, that's what we're going to deal with here in the metro, at least for another hour. But look at this whole system rotating off and to the north. There are two areas of concern for severe weather development. It is here off to the north and to the northeast, and it is here off to the south and to the southeast. In other words, if you were to take a line and put it on the map and go right down the east side of the Twin Cities and point everywhere to the west, you are storm free. You are out of the severe weather threat. It will rain, it will boom with thunder, and you'll see flashes of lightning over the next couple of hours. But rest assured, you can go to bed and rest easy that you are now out of the severe weather zone. If you look here off to the west, off to the east, the severe weather zone is really St. Croix River, Mississippi River off to the north and to the northeast. And really, and when you talk about severe weather, there is no good place to be. But I'll give you an idea here as you look off into northern Wisconsin. This is squarely cabin country. And there are a lot of folks here in the middle of the forest, in the middle of massive trees next to lakes. See this new severe thunderstorm warning, Bayfield, Douglas, Sawyer, and Washburn counties until 11 p.m. This is primarily, and as a meteorologist, when you look at the shape of this severe thunderstorm warning, you will get the idea. This is all this shape is truly about a line of severe thunderstorms and linear winds here, straight line winds working off to the north and to the northeast. So Bayfield, Douglas, Sawyer, Washburn, I'll tell you, I said this earlier, if you know somebody who's in this area and they're at their cabin and they have a cell phone, call them, text them, email them, and tell them there are very strong storms about to come ripping through the Rice Lake, Hayward regions here in parts of cabin country, winds in excess of 60 and 70 miles per hour. As you look off to the south, way south and southeast of the greater Twin Cities metro, that's our secondary area for severe weather threat. So you've got a severe thunderstorm warning here for Buffalo and Wabasha, but there's a line here that is developing and working toward Rochester, and another line working through parts of Goodhue County. This area hasn't been worked over in terms of the atmosphere, so the fuel is plentiful, and it is going to be one of those nights where that continues to be an area of concern concern for us. Greater Twin Cities Metro, though, breathe a sigh of relief. We made it through, although the light of day is going to show plenty of storm damage. Of note, as we get into the day tomorrow, it is going to be very hot and very humid. My forecast high for tomorrow is 90 degrees. Dew points at almost 70 degrees. It'll be like a July/August day. Although, as we work through late tomorrow night, we face yet another severe storm threat. A reminder that it is our severe weather season, and we're squarely in the middle of it again as we work through about this time tomorrow night. Amy, Kelsey?
All right, get that weather app downloaded, Fox 9 weather app, so that you have it with you when you need to
Stay sky aware, my friends. Stay
right,
sky aware. I've been saying it for 25 years, and it's
it.
the way to keep yourself ahead of the storm.
Okay, we know you're going to stay right there. We'll check right back in with you when we need to. Meantime, the Minnesota Wild definitely have their backs against the wall after that brutal Game 5 loss.
And the Twins battling the elements tonight against the Houston Astros. We have an update on when they will resume this game tomorrow coming up. All right, the game was suspended for the Twins and the Astros tonight, obviously because of the weather. They had pea-sized hail coming down, but they do have a plan.
A good shot, though.
They did, but then folks had to seek shelter at the Target Center.
Yeah, they moved everybody out of the ballpark. It was crazy there for a little bit, but the Twins have meteorologists on staff there, not only to protect the players,